You're with Drew Morphett.
Steve Johnson in the middle four, and he looks as though he's going with Dane Swan. Gee, that's something to look out for. Here's the bounce to get us underway. Jolly wins a backhander. It comes back to the bullseye. First kick to Beams for the Pies. Up the centre half forward. Fasolo drops a mark under pressure. It's on the paint of 50. Can they gouge it out of there? Enright had an air swing. Josh Hunt fights hard and is taken to ground, and the umpire calls for stoppage, and he'll ball it up about 45 metres out from goal. Collingwood going to the city end in the first quarter after James Kelly in game 200 won the toss for the Cats. There's the bounce. Give it to West actually this time. Not clean underneath, but the hand pass comes out. Maxwell for Collingwood. A high ball towards full forward. Cloak charges at it. Worked off the ball by Harry Taylor. Out the back to Dawes. Beautiful hand pass out to Pendlebury, who snaps a goal in the opening 50 seconds. Pendlebury gets the Pies underway.
They pressed right in, that's Collingwood, and Maxwell as captain was just on the 50 when a quick release came out. Their hand work then, their sureness of ball, Collingwood, I think there were 3 hand passes in the finish which got the ball clear. They got time and space that would be disappointing from Geelong's point of view to get the first one away. Geelong haven't had, in essence, a clean handle of the ball, and Collingwood have got the first score on the board with a very methodical build-up, quick kick out from underneath in the centre bounce and a goal. It was a terrific effort, and that'll put Geelong on the back foot just a bit.
Corey side by side with Swan, Johnson and Pendlebury, Beams and Selwood. Jolly wins the tap away from West, but Corey gets hold of it for the Cats. He'll get it onto the right boot and drive them inside the 50. Podsiadly in front. Hawkins got to the back. Keefe slapped it away from him. Motlop's after the loose footy. Hand pass to Johnson, who had a fumble. Swan gets in there to contest with him. Johnson trying to plough his way through. Not forthcoming. The ball skittles around. Held to a standstill. And our umpires in to bounce. Matt Stevick on the spot. Simon Meredith and Robert Findlay. The 3 umpires in action tonight. 50 metres out from the Geelong goal. Attacking the punt road end. West pushes it wide of the pack. Sinclair and Taylor Hunt. Hunt took hold of Sinclair, dragged him off, but Guthrie's hand pass went nowhere. Jolly's hand pass went to Sinclair. The Pies get a relieving kick around the wing. Cloak knocks it down. Fasolo took possession. He's dragged down by Josh Hunt, and there it will be bounced.
I know they've been playing for over 100 years, these two teams, but this is, I reckon, a case for contrasting away strips. Because you've got the verticals of Collingwood and the horizontal hoops of Geelong, and they can be pretty easily mixed up, I reckon. Free kick from this stoppage, and it's going Collingwood's way, just as Geelong thought it was theirs. It goes to Pendlebury, kicks over the wing towards half forward. Wellingham pushes, gets away with it. The ball comes to the back to Sinclair, who's quick. He kicks long to full forward. Goldsack is there in the goal square, but it is seen away from him and rushed through for a behind. Mackie did a good job. Pies 1-1, Cats yet to score.
Bartel on the kick in for the Cats. He likes the look of Taylor Hunt clearing the defensive 50. Slips the hand pass to Chapman at half-back. Long and strong for Motlop versus O'Brien. Steve Johnson's on at the back. Whistle, free kick, the advantage. Johnson to Hawkins. Propels himself low down to take the mark inside the 50.
A very, very good decision, umpire, to call it and then to give the advantage rule so clean. I know it's the players' role to take that, but they just went on with it. Terrific effort, Geelong, that time to get it in relatively quickly. O'Brien was manoeuvred out of the play very smartly. Was it young Motlop, I think?
Yep.
Might have been Motlop who did that.
So Hawkins comes across the digits of 50 and delivers from 45. He gets under it. It's a high ball. It floats away across the face. It is a behind. Geelong's first score to sit against 1-1.
A significant move over the last 3 or 4 weeks for Collingwood has been Goldsack playing forward and playing a tagging role, and he'll do that on Andrew Mackie tonight.
Heath Shaw kicks in for Collingwood, gets it outside the 50. It's knocked down by the 200 gamer Kelly. It comes to the back, gathered by Stevenson, and his hand pass comes out to Lonergan, and his hand pass is blocked out of bounds, and we have a throw in down towards half forward for the Cats, who trail a point to Collingwood 1-1, approaching the 5-minute mark. There's the throw in. Bunted down by Stevenson to Corey. Hand pass back to Smets, a late inclusion, who has a fumble, gets him into a lot of trouble. He's lost it. Beams attempted to soccer off the ground, comes back into the pack, and the umpire will bounce.
And that's the difference, isn't it? The one young player, Smets, who can play and was unlucky to go out and got back in the last minute. Just a double handle there, gave Collingwood re-access to the ball.
At the bounce, Ruckman wrestled each other away from it. Skittles the way of Pendlebury. He releases Beams. The Pies out of half-back. Kick didn't quite find its target, Wellingham. Guthrie comes through the pack. Hand pass to Enright. Up the line to Corey and back to Enright. Has to get it quickly onto the boot. It'll float up to half-forward. Heathshaw read it well. And unimpeded, he drifts across the front of the pack to take the mark.
I love that Keith. He just held out his opponent beautifully in Podsy Adley. Keith can play. He's a terrific young fella.
Short to side bottom and back to Shaw, who has a bounce, gets to the wing, kicks just short of the 50. Mackie up, can't take the mark, but it's taken down in front by Guthrie. Delivers a beautiful pass into the middle of the ground. Kelly takes the mark. Hand pass away to Enright, to Taylor, back to Kelly, who runs into a brick wall and fends off a would-be tackler. Short pass out wide and the mark taken by Joel Corey. Behind the wing. Looking to go across the ground to the Great Southern stand side. Doesn't hit the target, but Smets takes it on the bounce. Got Mackie in support. Kicks longer than that, over the head of Didak. It's taken by Duncan. Hand pass back to Harry Taylor. Off to Smets, back to Taylor. On the logo of the wing, he kicks to centre half forward. It's a poor old kick, and Tooby takes the mark in defence for the Pies.
Tooby gives the hand pass out the back to Shaw. Oh, his kick has been smothered by Hawkins. He'll gather the ricochet and go. Hawkins punishes the mistake of Heathshaw out of fullback. And we're all squared up at 1-1 apiece.
Well, I was just actually making a note in my book then that Collingwood across half back, they actually are setting up beautifully. They've had Shaw outmark a couple of occasions already at the start of this. And as I look up, Hawkins has actually taken a shot at goal. So from that perspective, a really poor mistake in their back line. And an important goal for Geelong, because the whole way and the whole structure, other than the Hawkins miss where Johnson found him inside 50, the comfortableness of the Geelong backs has been significant so far. Unfortunately, it's been undone.
Sure overplayed it, didn't he? Just hung on to it too long.
Bounce back in the middle with scores tied up. West, you give him the tap. Corey releases the ball to Johnson and out now to Selwood. He'll kick up to half forward. Podsy Adley wrestling with Keith. Keith's done well, but he didn't pull the mark in. Gets a hand in there to keep it free for Reid. Hand passes over the top now to O'Brien and he slips it on to Clark. Bouncing ball around the wing. Guthrie goes to meet it hard for the Cats and pump them back inside the 50. 5-man pack. Reid got a fist to it. And it's enough to see it out over the boundary.
Oh, centre kid Guthrie, he has some toe and aggression at the ball, and he kicks the ball beautifully. That's two good kicks into position. Young Guthrie, he's a fine.
Throw in down towards the forward pocket for the Cats. Comes to Bartell. Hand pass back. Johnson flung to the ground. Spills to Guthrie. Hand pass back to Kelly. They've lost ground. Kick by Kelly to the forward pocket. And nearly a tumbling back mark taken by Stevie J, and the ball just spills out of play, and a throw in about 10 metres around from the behind post. 1 goal, 1 apiece, 8.5 minutes played. Cats in attack. Hawkins goes into the ruck against Dawes. Dawes gets hands to the ball. It comes underneath. Hawkins tries to wrestle it free. The umpire takes charge to bounce.
It's on, isn't it? I mean, it's not an outwardly aggressive, stupid stuff, whack and crack and all that sort of stuff, but they are genuinely head down, backside up.
30 from the Geelong goal. West wins the tap down to Corey, flings it out goal side. It was intercepted by Shaw. His hand pass didn't go far. It ricocheted back into the pack where Bartell got caught with it, and there it ends. 25 out from the Geelong goal. And now right in the corridor, with the whole field around it, it seems. Hawkins doing the ruck work against Dawes. Underfoot it comes. Pendlebury with a releasing ball for O'Brien. He gives it back to Reid. Careful with the pass to Beams. Hand pass to Pendlebury, involved for the second time in the movement. Out to Goldsack, and Beams stayed in the play to receive the next hand pass. Down the line with a penetrating kick. Josh Hunt had a play to intercept. He left it behind. Fasolo got under him. They collapsed to ground together. Smets gets brought down with it. And we lurch from stoppage to stoppage with a bit of territory covered in between. It's at half forward for the Pies.
Dane Swan goes to this contest. He hasn't had a touch as yet in the opening 10 minutes of the game. You don't see that too often. This comes down to Joel Corey, who hand passes to the boundary line. They say, how about that for deliberate? Actually, the ball didn't go out. It's grabbed by Swan, who gets his first touch. A hand pass to Taylor. Hand pass further afield to Maxwell. His kick towards the 50. Harry Taylor in front. No mark. Comes to the front for Solo. Snaps towards full forward, but Mackie playing in front. Takes the mark on Goldsack. But his hand pass is intercepted by Goldsack, who's ridden into the ground with a push in the back. Oh, umpire. He's right in front and 40 out. The ump didn't pay it. He's going to bounce it.
I guess it must have been Chris touched the Mackie mark. He went on the second boat or went to the ground.
I think it touched the ground.
Yeah.
40 out from the Collingwood goal. Out of the stoppage, it spills. Taken by Jolly. Hand pass to Beams. Gets onto the left boot. Flying shot at goal. Will hang out to the left and be a behind. Collingwood leading by that score.
Crowd building up. I reckon a lot of people did get caught in Punt Road getting here. Alan Christensen we interviewed prior to the game, and he was in the traffic, so anybody coming across the Westgate Bridge was a bit slow getting here. It's big, but it's not the 85, 90, no way. Outside the 50, and a chance here for Collingwood, but it's taken away by Selwood, who fires out a terrific hand pass to Enright. An underground ball taken by Podsiadly in between wing and half forward, and he steers a pass down the line. Stokes marks 55 out. Beautiful pass, Hawkins. Hawkins takes the mark about 35 metres out from goal, and that was as clear and crisp movement as you could see in a pressurised game.
Well, we could see it heading up, Chris. It was in their hands coming out of their back 50 in Geelong. And the +1, which they're doing, the same as the opposition. Shaw is the extra man in the back half for Collingwood, and Guthrie is the extra man back half for Geelong. But the zone never moved at all. They allowed 3 accesses by Geelong players, just ran on and took up the mark. Didn't try at any stage to close the time and space.
Tomahawk for his second goal. From 40, the drop punt is positive, but it's left all the way. He has kicked 1 goal too, which is Geelong's score. Collingwood also 1-2. Whitey.
Drew, just to back up Parko's comment, what happened in that situation was Darren Jolly was the one that was forced to be on Tom Hawkins at full back.
Reid marked the kick in. He wanders out into the left back pocket, kicks to contests around the wing. It's going to fall the way of Cloak at the back of 4. He sends it up to half forward for Solo against Smeds. Coming the other way is Dawes. Dawes got taken high. Feeds the hand pass to Solo. Kick to full forward. Wellingham is camped. Duncan comes into effect to spoil. Wellingham stays in the play. He's hemmed in the pocket. Centering ball. Beautiful cool head. And Daisy Thomas arrives to take the mark at full forward.
I was about to say that Duncan did brilliantly then by actually backing back good 30 or so metres to actually get under Wellingham and make the spoil. The ball didn't go out of bounds, and what great cool play by Wellingham to actually seize and actually spot up Thomas in a great position, almost dead in front.
This will be his first kick.
25 metres from goal. Thomas skips in and misses to the right. Collingwood lead by a point instead of a goal.
I just don't understand it. And that's got to be a mental pressure of some time. He would kick those blindfolded on his left foot, facing backwards from the goal. And yet he can't find. I mean, that's just deplorable conversion.
It is. It's his first game back from injury. He's been out for a while. A bit rusty in front of goal with the pressure. Harry Taylor marks the kick in. Hand pass to Selwood. Back to Taylor. He kicks towards the middle of the ground. It misses Podsiadly and is taken by Harry O'Brien, who kicks towards half forward. Wellingham looking sharp, takes the mark one way, then the other. High to full forward. No mark taken. A chance for the Pies. Swan is there, gets the hand pass away. For Solo, a high kick from about 15 metres out. Is out of bounds on the full. He gave it a bit of a hook.
And Pendlebury's giving it to him because Pendlebury was just off. He didn't see Pendlebury at all. He just tried to kick a spectacular one over his shoulder. Pendlebury standing 5 metres in front of him facing the goal, totally clear.
Mackie from the restart covered 40 metres to Stevenson. who'll play the southern wing with a poor kick straight to Heath Shaw. Hand pass to Beams, coming back, didn't find its target, and Stevenson gets in there to retrieve the situation. Off to West and Johnson and Selwood, and now Stokes on the wing. He comes more centrally to Chapman at full flight. Hand pass to Johnson. Sinclair came at him. Johnson got the kick away, and Hawkins again is on the lead. He is Geelong's way home. He's given it off this time to Chapman, who gets it to the left boot and misses.
Well, not a good sign of the people here. He had to go back and kick that because he's missed a couple. He gave it off to Chappie. Chappie was confronted on his natural foot and had to just pop at it on his left, and the behind resulted. Not good play at all.
Level again, Drew.
Side bottom kicks to himself, runs it out, gets the hand pass to O'Brien, over the top to Beams on defensive 50. Beams out to the wing. Cloak. Taylor punches, but Cloak retrieves it, and he's paid the mark, the umpire. Cloak must have had first touch.
Oh, gee, it was a big hit by the defender.
I would have thought so. Kick by Cloak towards half forward. Oh, Goldsack juggles, but marks. Too far out to score. Oh, gets a bit of a run from Blair, but he has a bad fumble. Johnson taken high. The crumbs come out towards the boundary line. Guthrie is under the pack. Wellingham's got him, and the umpire is going to ball it up. It looked like a clear ball by Taylor. The ump paid the mark to Cloak. 1-3 to 1-3. 16 minutes.
Right half forward for Collingwood. Jolly with a tap out boundary side. It will get to the line, but not over it. And so the umpire's going to have to bounce it a metre in from the field of play. He'll walk it in a couple more. Give everybody a chance at it. West takes front position. On such a long side of the pack, but side bottom got it, kicked it straight into West. Hand pass to Selwood, very quick hands to Kelly and Bartell. And chips for a centre half back, it's not a great kick. Mackie went with the flight, made the spoil illegally on Cloak.
She showed some guts though, didn't he?
What do you reckon, Chris? Was frontal contact made?
I didn't think there was at the time.
No, well the players played on like there wasn't. They didn't pull up and ask for it.
From true centre half forward, Cloak gives it the lot. He's going to come up 5 metres short. That still might work. Pendlebury snapped out of the pack on the spillage, and he lands the goal. His second, Collingwood seconds. 2-3-15 to 1-3-9, 17 gone.
Well, he's a genius, and I think he's so important in that situation. His reflexes are so good. His readability of the play and the drop is as good as anybody I've seen, I reckon, in the last 10 years. And you think in that position, he's a goal kicker, that a long ball coming in, somebody would have made a beeline to body him and make sure they were between him and the ball and the goal. Didn't happen. He got absolutely free access to a drop ball and did what he does so good. He just snapped it clean and clear with his left foot.
Not bad for a basketballer.
Well, he can play, and he's generally getting the best result out of tight situations, probably across the competition.
He's kicked both of Collingwood's goals, Pendlebury, and he's gone to the bench as a reward. At the bounce, it's taken by Corey, who's spun round in Beams' tackle. Comes to Mackie, off to Stokes, little one to Kelly, who's given it straight up to Thomas. That was about a 14-metre pass straight to the opposition. Thomas, a hand pass out wide. Side bottom, touches down once. Southern stand wing, kicks to Cloak, flips through his glove, taken by Enright. Now further afield to Hunt. Chapman gets Thomas in a good tackle, and the Cats have it. Corey, a big hand pass up forward, not taken cleanly by Chapman. But it spills here to West. Goes to Bartell, and on the lead is Podgy Adley, who marks on his chest 35 metres from goal.
Now go back, son, and do what you're paid to do. I mean, there's been some terrible turnovers, but the way the opposition clamp back under, or somebody else picks up the mess that's been made. Been a lot of misses, little misses made tonight, which suggest they're a fair bit off the pace in the competition, but the clean-up either by the opposition or their own teammates has been superb.
The Cats' marks inside 50 have been fantastic. And they've been wasteful with 1-3. Surely the Pods can do something about it. 45 out, kicks the goal. In game 50, James Podgy-Adley gets his 119th goal.
Well, significant at the moment for the Collingwood defenders is that Hawkins looks on top of his opponent, his direct opponent, And no doubt at all that Podsiadly, the first opportunity he gets a direct ball coming towards him, he also looks like he's on top of his opponent. So Keefe and Reid are the two tall timbers down there. At the moment, in one-on-one situations, they look vulnerable. They look very good and very calm and well set up when their half-back line is Shaw and those types of players are able to get back. O'Brien would be the other. Get back and actually clog that space and actually make it hard for Hawkins and Podsiadly. But at the moment, each time it goes inside 50 towards one of those talls, they look like they're on top.
Swan will get first access in the middle. He screws a kick around the corner, but it's cut off by Enright. The Cats put it forward of halfway. Loose ball runs through centre half forward. Shaw to meet it. Missed his target, Pendlebury. Duncan came the other way. Pendlebury tries to tidy up. Tuvey got caught in a two-man tackle with the ball. He's buried on the spot, and that's where it will be bounced.
He almost had prior opportunity. He almost went to cut his way through before he hand passed it. You'd be very tempted to knock him over for that. I'm glad they don't. He's playing the ball. Why would you go and get it?
Front corner of the centre square. Stevenson down to Selwood. Guthrie had a fumble. Selwood's hand pass across his body didn't come off. Blair intercepted. Didak to Beams. Smets lays a tackle. Side bottom trying to get through. He does. Hand pass to Wellingham. Kick for Cloak. He missed him. Out in the pocket. It spills away. Cloak goes off the ground and kicks it on the full.
Poor play, Cloak, I would have thought. Very ordinary play. Take the inside 50, take the ball up with a throw in inside 50, give your team a chance.
Oh. Taylor goes by hand with the free to Enright and away to Guthrie, and he's given it up.
What beautiful kicker. They said what a class kicker he was. He couldn't have hit him better if he tried.
This is Goldsack, who plays for the opposition. He's taken the mark about 52 metres out from goal. A defender who hasn't troubled the scorers too often in his league career, but here he is playing as a defensive forward. He's kicked us 13 goals. Oh, he's got plenty of distance. That is a magnificent kick. That is out of this world. Pies 3-3, Cats 2-3.
Well, he went back confidently. He knew from that distance that he was half a chance, and another turnover by the Geelong team gives them an opportunity either going forward, and there's been a few from the Geelong team. Kelly, a couple of occasions, now another one, gives him a shot on goal. He was easily outside 50. He must have kicked that from 55, Drew, and it's gone over the fence at the MCG. Massive kick and a real crowd lifter.
And contested possession, she is dead set even, 27 apiece. They're into it.
Collingwood by a goal. They set up in the middle with the circle painted in the colours of the Aboriginal flag for Indigenous rounds. Ball comes Blair's way with the first disposal. It's a hand pass to Swan, a wide kick out to half forward. In fact, it won't reach there. It pitches on its end and runs away to the southern boundary. Adam White.
Jared, we were watching Collingwood on a Friday night 2 weeks ago. The intensity level is significantly higher here at ground level. Played a lot quicker.
At the throw-in, Stevenson got his hand to it. Down to Kelly. Hand pass to Taylor Hunt. Back to Kelly. Now to Duncan. Loops the hand pass off for Mackie near the middle of the ground, and he kicks to half forward. Johnson's playing from behind Tuvey. Went to spoil. Hawkins took a long time to get rid of it. He threw it, and Reid will win the free kick.
Yeah, Reid's had a tough time, but that was good, and his free kick is absolutely perfect. Goldsack meters in the clear, marks on the wing, and kicks towards full forward. It should have been marked, but it was bunted down to the front. Bad mistake by Hunt, and kick forward by Swan. Hasn't made it. In the pocket now for the Pies. And a kick by Fasolo. Back to the 50. To Thomas. Ugly looking kick towards full forward. It gets there. Smets has a fumble. Regathers. Hand passes to Mackie. And he pokes out a short pass out of defence, which is good, and Duncan takes the mark. Gee, Collingwood looked a certainty to get a goal out of that.
Well, Hunt's error, wasn't it? I mean, Hunt should have just marked the ball. For some reason, he decided to punch it away and nearly broke his hand doing it.
Short pass to Enright, who has taken the mark at half-back flank. Collingwood 3-3. Geelong 2-3. 24 minutes played in the first quarter. The kick down the line, and Oren Stevenson, father of 3, in his first year at the age of 29, takes the mark.
Get it onto the right boot and deliver to a contest at half forward. Podsiadly up into it to mark cleanly. They break on the spread. Steve Johnson's on the most meaningful deep lead. He let Tuvey go over the top, chases the ball at the back, hand pass to Motlop, runs it off the side of the boot and missed the lock. He was 5 metres from the goal mouth. He went the dribble kick and put it all the way across, out of bounds in the opposite pocket. Maxwell and O'Brien were both on hand to tell him all about it. At the throw in, Jolly down to Keefe, caught with it, dispossessed. Tuvey's kick came in a hurry and at an awkward angle for Thomas to deal with. It runs out toward the boundary and over. 50 from the Geelong goal. Adam White.
Jared, the medical team have been out to Josh Hunt, but he's waved them away, but they did have 2 guys out there to look at him.
Maybe he did injure his wrist in slapping that ball down rather than marking. Dane Beams kicks a ball out of defence with the outside of his boot, but the mark is taken by Mackie, who squares the ball into the middle of the ground. Enright playing nearly his best game for the year, marks near the circles, undergrounds the ball to Bartel, who kicks to full forward, but Shaw is there for Collingwood to take a mark in the last line. Collingwood fans wanting a 50-metre penalty against Stevie J for a bump slightly after the mark, and the 50 not awarded, across in front of goal, and Maxwell marks in the opposite back pocket.
The Collingwood skipper looking for the way out. It's a long driving kick to half-back. Goldsack flies. Mackie made the spoil. Lonergan's hand pass didn't find a teammate. Thomas with a neat little intercept. Hand pass to Goldsack, who gets a good shepherd from Jolly. 2 bounces from Goldsack, almost run down. Kick to full forward. Wellingham didn't quite trap it. Guthrie and Wellingham scrap for it. Hand pass from Wellingham to Sinclair, who snaps it behind. Just couldn't quite get the curl on the ball. Collingwood lead by 7 points.
Well, if it's going to be Guthrie, and I'm not sure whether it is now loose man versus Shaw. Shaw's been the dominant bloke down the back half. He's the worry.
Hunt's kicks a beauty into Kelly, who takes the mark. Kick by Kelly out the half-back flank. Gee, Lonergan was swamped. Ball comes to Thomas. Hand pass into Beam, 60 out. He steers a pass. Side bottom marks. 40 from goal, right in front.
Geelong turnovers. It's whether that's a confidence thing, whether it's just an unsureness of coming out of defensive 50, but we've seen numerous occasions over the course of the evening already, particularly coming out of defence. There's another one, and it might hurt him again.
Steele, side bottom, right in front. Should be kicking Collingwood's 4th goal. 45 metres out. Oh, it's hit the post. Gee, they waited a long time behind the goals before they gave me any indication whether he'd got it or missed it. And a poster. So it's 3-5 to 2 goals 3. Pies by 8 points.
Enright on the kick in. He's gone for Taylor, clear of the defensive 50. Spoil was made though by Reid. Onto it is Didak. Hand pass to side bottom. Kick up into the forward pocket again. Dawes, terrific stuff. Went with a one hand first to pop it up and then pulled it in.
That is a worry, isn't it? Because he did it. Was it Lonergan? Just removed? No, in fact,
Enright.
It was Enright. So you could expect that size and shape wouldn't have been able to compete, but he did it so easily. Didn't move, jump off the ground or move. Just removed the opposition with a gentle use of arm and took it one hand. Needs to convert, sorry.
Chris Dawes from the right forward pocket. It's right. It won't work back. Collingwood squander some late opportunities in the term. They lead by 9. It might be more. 3-6 to 2-3. Adam White.
Now, Jared, Josh Hunt has taken himself from the field. He's being assessed at the moment. Looks like it's just behind the right knee that's being looked at. He's troubled by something. I'm just not entirely sure as to what it is.
Well, they're doing what a lot of teams do. You've got to create that many shots on goal and don't score. It comes back to bite you.
Mackie kicks in and Taylor takes a fine mark at right half-back flank. Off the left, he kicks a high ball towards the wing. It hits the turf and bounces on. Taken by Shaw for Collingwood. Delays his hand pass and is nearly caught by Johnson. He is holding the ball. Stevie J laid a good tackle. No, Heath Shaw waited too long. Johnson, boundary line, 80 from goal. Gets it inside the 50 and Podgy Adley marks. Now, his teammates must have done a bit of work for him there because it was virtually uncontested.
Absolutely set play. Absolute set play. put the half moon spot round the space, and CBJ looked like he was running straight in and kicked it across his body. That's a delightful thing to see at this level with zone defences that should prevent that from happening.
Well, Podsiadly looking to kick his second goal after the siren. 9 points is the deficit. If they get to 3, I think they'll consider themselves a bit lucky to be that close. Their key forwards have taken marks on the lead. Podsiadly from 51. Oh, it's got a chance. Just offline, missing to the left-hand side. So Geelong go in at the first break. 2 goals, 4-16, trailing Collingwood 3-6-24. The margin 8 points. Pendlebury's kicked 2. Goldsack kicked an absolute perler. And the 2 for the Cats. Hawkins, and it could have been more. And Podsiadly, and it could have been more.
It's interesting because we have a contest, but it's relatively ugly. Is that the terms that we use? It's not clean and clear and crisp in the way that some of the early movement was reasonable, but the turnovers for players who've been coming out, particularly Geelong, out of defence with little or no real pressure coming, been the turnovers that have killed them.
Collingwood by 8 points.
Don't know where they're going to go to after that.
Into the second term we go. Collingwood by 8 points and kicking to the punt road ends. Stevenson goes against Jolly. Jolly cleanly down to Swan. Hand pass to Pendlebury. Knocked off his kick by Stevenson, and it slews away to the southern wing. Motlop leads the chase. Hand pass to Kelly. Looping ball up over the top. Bounced away from Selwood and straight to O'Brien. He might have given it back to Kelly though. Kelly got caught in the tackle of side bottom. He let it go. Should have been penalised. Maxwell kicked it into the congestion. Kelly made the smother. The ricochet went out of play.
The errors, there were 5 distinct errors of possession and disposal there that you just don't see amongst the top sides. There are a couple of teams that are struggling here.
Left half forward for Geelong. Jolly gets the ball from the throw-in, bounces it around the wing. Sinclair dispossessed. Mackey's onto it for Geelong. His kick was smothered. Wellingham bunts it out to Didak, who lost it. Josh Hunter's back in the play. Hand pass to Kelly. High ball around the wing. Hard to mark. Swan made it look easy. Drifted in. Juggled the grab.
Swan had 5 possessions in the first quarter, but he laid 4 tackles. Best of anyone. Comes across the ground to Keefe, who marks. He gets it over the wing to Shaw. And Shaw steers it down the line, but the kick's too wide for Thomas and beats him out of bounds. Poor disposal by Shaw.
Oh, and he's still waving to him, apologising, but he's got to be better than that. You've got a kid Guthrie who can't get it across half-back, not helping Geelong, and a bloke Shaw is making error after error in his free position.
Selwood wins the hit out. It goes back towards the boundary line and out again for another throw-in. Whitey.
Drew, Jared mentioned before Josh hunting the call. I'm surprised he's back out there. He looked like he was really limping at quarter time.
Jolly wrestles and wins the hit. Rove by Swan. Swan puts it out in front of the goal square. A chance for Cloak. Gloves to it. Down to the front to Dawes, but he's pushed off his kick by Josh Hunt. And the ball goes nowhere. How does the umpire rule? Holding the ball. You pay the price for getting the bill this game.
Oh, you do. Hate it.
Josh Hunt from the left back pockets. He just confused himself. Hand pass to nobody in particular. Lonergan had to go and get it and kick in a hurry. It comes off to half back where Selwood marks and shoots the hand pass off to Taylor Hunt. He's at full stride. Had a bounce. Delivers long. Podsiadly leans in, gets his hands to it. Shaw made the late spoil. Still to be had in the pocket. Reed gets there for the Pies. Hand pass is not great. Stokes couldn't quite get hold of it. Keith's hand pass is smothered. It goes out of play. 5 around from the behind post.
Oh, he needed to drive himself into that, Stokes, to make sure he got possession first before he started pedalling backwards and half taking it. Oh, not a good effort.
No addition to the quarter time score. Throw in. Clean possession Hawkins. Kick smothered. Bounces to side bottom. He bunts it to his own advantage and runs through centre half back. Kicks down towards half forward. Cloak is there.
Oh.
He works Harry Taylor under the ball with a push, says the umpire. Now, I don't think there were hands there. I reckon he used his body.
Absolutely pushed him under with his body. He could not contest the mark when the ball wasn't within 5 metres. Great decision, umpire.
Sometimes you pay the price for being the bigger man. Taylor, the free kick. Down towards half forward. All Collingwood. All Reed spilled a mark he should have taken. Comes to Kelly. Hand pass misses Selwood. It's on the 50. Cats in attack. stacks on the mill. They're all in there. And Empire says, this time I'm going to ball it up.
She's up and right now, the game, I think they sort of smell it's in balance. The ratings have gone up immeasurably. I know it's hard at the end of the first quarter, but the start of the second, she's going.
Collingwood by 8, 50 out from the Geelong goal. Stevenson wins it down to Duncan. Gets some sort of kick to full forward. No mark taken by Reid, who had front position. Hawkins toils on. Reid brings him down. Clark rises with the footy. Hand pass to Pendlebury. Hand pass wasn't great. Keefe made it okay. Side bottom and Swan, and now Shaw in the back pocket. The Pies are out. Hand pass over the top to Wellingham, who has a bounce. Looks up the southern wing and puts it onto the chest of Dawes.
Wonderful kick, Jared.
Dawes will have a look at a pretty open setup. Wellingham has sprinted on. He'll take the mark near half forward. Feed it off to Didak. Didak will put them deep inside the 50, and out comes Fasolo to take the mark. Beautiful movement of the footy created by the dare of Sharad Wellingham.
Well, his vertical leap, they tell me it's a ripper. His vertical leap was a difference. Enright was doing everything in his capacity. He came hard and jumped high, didn't get anywhere near him. Tickled him on the back, I think.
And just a little touch also, Jared, of a bit of the new game plan from Nathan Buckley then. There's no doubt a change of direction from Wellingham and Didak then was the difference.
For Solo to get the conversion so richly deserved, yes, he does.
Yeah, great usage. That's clean usage from winning it in the back pocket. I can't remember the Geelong player who didn't have to go. He had to sit back, let the chase from behind put the pressure on the ball carrier. He came up and made the loose man over the top. It was a good night. 3 kicks into the forward line. Fasolo went up. Wasn't an easy mark, but he came forward and drove himself into the air. He's got colossal agility and vertical power in his legs to take what he often takes as good marks. And that's the reason they say, don't want him to spend more time on the ground. Boy, he takes marks in the forward line to his size. Keep it and encourage him to do it.
That was the first score for the quarter. It took 5 minutes. Collingwood 4-6 to 2 goals 4. 14-point lead. Back in the middle for a bounce. On a beautiful night for football in Melbourne. It's won by Stevenson, the veteran first-year player out of the VFL. It goes nowhere and the umpire will bounce again. Crowd has built up since the game started. It's big, but it's not absolutely gigantic, massive proportions. It's just a very, very big MCG crowd. Bartel clears the centre. Oh, beautifully played by Duncan, who gets it going his way and kicks for goal and kicks it. Mitch Duncan, a ripping goal. Fresh off 3 goals last week, gets his first tonight. Cats 3-4, Pies 4-6.
A ripping goal and an important goal for the Geelong team against a trend of about 15 minutes of play going the Collingwood way. So a real arm wrestle out there at the moment, with statistically speaking anyway, but on the scoreboard it was just that ability for Geelong to stay in touch, and Duncan was the man who actually came up with it. Really interesting. I do feel, and look, defenders are vulnerable at the best of times in one-on-one situations. Very difficult in this day and age as a footballer to play in a defensive position and one-on-one to win those battles with the skill of this team. But Duncan on that occasion, great body on a very good body player in O'Brien.
Collingwood by 8. Swan gets it cleanly out of the middle, and he's going to pump the Pies to full forward. For Solo threatens Cloak over the back, kicked off the ground and goal. Couldn't be more simple than that. And Collingwood re-established the 14-point lead.
I don't know why it's happened. I don't understand as a coach, and I probably should, but start of this quarter, they both reverted back to man-on-man, a 6-man defence for both teams. I love it. I think it's absolutely terrific. So they've had an equal match. There hasn't been a floater across a third man to come in and take the ball away and be outnumbered when it hits the ground. I'm sure it's still, yes, we've still got both teams. We right there, Drew?
Yep.
Yeah, 8 minutes into the second quarter, who've decided to go man for man all over the ground. That's an interesting change because they've both been so good at releasing the +1.
And you can put the screws on Swan all you like, but he still gets kicks in tough areas. Dane Beams gets one out of the middle here this time. It's chopped off by Duncan for the Cats. The kick to half forward. Free kick to long right in front of goal. 40 to 45 metres out. Podsy Adley.
He is funny, Jono, isn't he, Johnson? the first to recognise that it might be a chance here. He's on his bike with his arm waving, give it to me, even though it's well within the range of the kicker.
And I think it was Keefe. He just would not let Podsiadly run at the footy. So good call by the umpire. Difficult to see, but a good call.
It was Keefe. Right in front. Podsiadly for his second. Oh, way left. And that's the Collingwood Social Club end of the MCG. You mightn't be surprised to realise that when you heard the cheer go up.
And that's the footy gods are definitely here tonight. They didn't agree with you, Chris.
Collingwood by 13. Shaw plays onto himself. Hares out into the back pocket. Kick for Fasolo, trying to get up over the top of Stevenson. He couldn't. The ruckman for the Cats took the mark. Off to Josh Hunt. Terrible ball sideways. Intercepted by Daisy Thomas. He squares the footy to Dawes. Feeds it off now to Beams. Just balked the first kick and went a little wider to Wellingham. He has a look down the southern wing. Sits it up for side bottom. Taylor Hunt made the spoil. And Sidebottom couldn't quite get hold of it, with the Magpie fans baying for a free kick over the shoulder.
36-23, a 13-point lead to the Pies, approaching the 10-minute mark of the second quarter. Dawes in the ruck, down, socket away by Chapman for Geelong, close to the boundary line, kept alive by Selwood, but gathered by Sidebottom for Collingwood. A hurried kick on the turn, nearly out of bounds on the full. Good spoil put on by Thomas. Ball comes to Sidebottom. His kick in towards midfield. Chopped off by Enright. Back towards half forward with his kick. Just forward of the wing. Thomas gets it for Collingwood. Hand pass to Tuvey. Off to Didak. Playing just his second game for the year. A squaring ball is good for Wellingham, who marks 70 out from goal. Back to Didak, who weaves around him and runs away from goal. Hand pass wide to Thomas. Back to Didak. Racking up the touches now. Didak's kick towards half forward flank. And Beams marks 60 from goal. He gets a good run. Wellingham's run brilliantly tonight. He gets behind and is beaten to the ball. Kelly's hand pass straight to the opposition. It's Pope of all people. And he kicks it behind. Should have kicked the goal from about 45 metres. He's kicked one goal, one, and one out of bounds.
Enright on the kick in. He's found Kelly most of the way to the defensive 50. Nothing really on down the field, so a change of direction, not without risk. Chapman didn't mark with Blair bearing down, but he does get onto the footy. Hand pass in a hurry back to Kelly, who goes the squirting ball to half back. Taylor dropped the mark and had to play on quickly, but he did it well. He kicked for Selwood. Down the line he goes for Stokes. Handled the half volley well. Back to Selwood with a hand pass. Kick up to full forward. Motlop's the man. He nicks in front of O'Brien and takes the mark 20 out from goal.
That was great team play, Geelong. They were an inch away from each of those disposals from getting the ball turned over, but they had confident enough to take the opponent on. It worked about 3 or 4 times in a row. Now a shot on goal.
Motlop takes it and lands the major. So they go end to end for the goal. And the margin comes back to 8 points. 5-7-37 Collingwood, 4-5-29 Geelong, 12 played of the second term.
It went smoothly enough, but from the very first Hunt disposal down here that was nearly turned over, the next kick was nearly spoilt, the next kick or hand pass was nearly smothered, but given their due, they didn't go back in their shells. They just kept taking the risk, and the challenge loomed up. And in the finish, a good kick to Motlop. It actually favoured him beautifully, drop it into the hole, and he's able to leave his man and get in. So, very important goal. They've still got a sniff. I think they're struggling along, just trying to get it into overdrive, but they just can't get there.
The first 6 minutes of the quarter produced no goals. The next 6, 2 goals each. In the middle, rove by Corey. A hand pass was too high for West, so needs a speedster. In the shape of Mackie. He runs onto it and bumbles the kick towards the 50. It's paddled out here to Johnson, who's caught in a good tackle by the Collingwood skipper Maxwell. Hand pass comes up to Motlop. Around the corner he goes down towards the forward pocket. Good defence by Reid to knock the ball away from Hawkins and see the ball safely out of bounds.
Don't whinge, son. Don't whinge. Hawkins whinging for a free kick. Just get on with it, son.
Umpires quickly to get the ball in play. West wins the hit out. Comes to Clark, who's been very quiet. And Marty, the Irishman's taken to ground. The ball does spill out. It's still there for someone. Blair gets a little kick and clears the area. It's taken by Thomas, who goes for a gallop. He gets up near the wing, kicks towards half forward. For Solo, an unrealistic jump, really. Probably was a free kick, but, well, Cats had the ball anyway. The kick back to the wing. Beams has it for Collingwood.
He gets the hand pass off to Clark. Ball didn't quite reach for Solo, but he was good with his hands. To Beams, to Didak. They're nearly through. Didak onto the left boot. Cloak's on the lead. Sinclair, his own man, bowled him over. And the ball spills away from the pair out of play.
Yeah, he should have read that better, young Sinclair. I think he was in a position, but he just needed to back off a bit and let the big fella come, and he could have cleaned up the spill after that.
Left half forward for Collingwood at the throw-in. Jolly was held. 55 out from goal. Hand pass to Pendlebury, who'll lob it up to full forward. Cloak's about 3 deep, and protection provided for Stevenson to drift back and take the mark for the Cats.
Been okay, the big bloke. He's a better mark than I thought he was. I know he's an outstanding ruckman or palm of the ball, but he's taken what he should take as a big bloke.
He'll kick it as far as he can outside the defensive area. Duncan is going to fly, so too Lonergan. Swan gets through the pack. His hand pass is false though. Selwood cut it off. Hand pass to Corey. Put it into a congested situation. Tipped up by Tuvey. Taken by Stokes. He's been dispossessed. Pendlebury pulls it clear. Hand pass to O'Brien. He's gone for Fasolo in the pocket. Josh Hunt made the spoil. It's all about the crumb. Kelly's onto it. Hand pass to Guthrie. Kicks the barrel around the wing. It centre falls straight to Heath Shaw.
Southern stand side. The half distance pass by Shaw, marked by Sidebottom. Hand pass back to Shaw, who ran past. Shaw's kick inside the 50. Cloak swamped. Oh, but he wins the pill beautifully. Hand pass back to Fasolo from 48 metres out. Hooks back towards goal. Didn't hook it back far enough behind. He's kicked 1-1 and 1 out of bounds. Collingwood 5-8, 38. Geelong 4-5, 29.
Taylor Hunt marks the kick in for Geelong. Out to half back. Chapman has to go against Jolly. Did enough to make the spoil. Motlop's on the crumb. Delivers for Duncan on the wing. Stokes is running back toward goal. That's where the kick goes. Stokes marks 50 away. Plays on. Kick to full forward. Hawkins has got to gather the bouncing ball. Reid got him. Great tackle. Pinned an arm. Should have won holding the ball. It won't matter. Shaw out to O'Brien, who drifts out into the back pocket on a couple of bounces. Played for a precise pass for Beams, and it got there. Ben Reid, goal-saving stuff.
That was a phenomenal tackle.
Here's Beams now at half-back flank. Kicks over the wing. Goldsack from behind, nearly pinched it from for Solo. And wins the ball too. Hand pass to Sidebottom. Off he goes to Sinclair. Kicks long towards full forward. Chance here for Collingwood. Swan gathers and spins onto his left and kicks the goal from 15 out. Here's a genius, the Brownlow medalist.
Yeah, look, he made something and the ball came out of the sky, and I think it was might have been Taylor Hunt, was it, that was trying to compete, or he's so strong and so powerful in the initial few steps to get away. He was able to take the ball, spin and come out. That was with forward or sideways movement, and get what was a relatively easy shot on goal on the finish. Both, it's really interesting. You called it before the game, Chris. The longer it goes, the more vulnerable both defences look.
Collingwood by 15 points. Middle stages of the second term. It's a delay on the bounce. It's affected now. Jolly clean with a tap. Free kick here. Going Geelong's way. Selwood scragged off the ball. He's up quickly to take it. The spreads to Johnson. Johnson will put it out into the pocket for Hawkins. Reid wears him close. Hawkins can't mark. Shaw knocked off his kick. Tuvey gets in there to help him out. Hand pass for Wellingham. Good on the pick up low down, but he runs it out of play. Sanctuary 55 away from the Geelong goal. Stevenson rucking with Jolly. They lean into each other. Probably had a share of the tap. Gathered by Bartell out of the pack. High ball into the pocket. Reid and Hawkins again grapple. Reid gets his fist on the ball and punches it out of play. He's not been manhandled tonight.
Got a couple of inside midfielders who are doing wonderful jobs. Selwood's been great in the contest, and so's young Beams. He's got better and better as an inside player.
Left forward pocket now for Geelong. Podsiadly punched it goal side. Reid got there. Kick might have been partially smothered off the boot. Thomas lost it. Stolen by Stokes, who kicks the goal. Ever the opportunists. Matthew Stokes lurking in the pocket. Closes the margin to 9 points. 5-5 to 6-8.
Well, opportunistic, have to finish it, and he did. It was a great round. The round on the over his left shoulder, wasn't it? It was a brilliant finish, but just forward pressure from the Geelong team. Was it Stokes who made that smother? Was it Jared, or can't get a picture? I'm pretty sure it was Stokes. It was a wonderful smother, really was. The Geelong players have run to him now, so fantastic inside 50 smother, gives his team an opportunity against the flow, keeps them only 9 points down.
Bartel, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Bartel, the original. Yeah, right. And Smeds put the tackle on from behind.
In the middle, Jolly had a run at Stevenson. Comes out the back door. Taken by Enright. Oh, fumbled here by Johnson just forward of the wing. That's unusual, Stevie J. And he allows Daisy Thomas in to knock it towards the boundary line.
Yeah, it was done before he had control, wasn't he? He was doing the usual thing. Don't look at it. I'll gather it behind my back, bring it over my left shoulder and flick it through my legs, but didn't get tight to the wall.
Collingwood by 9 points. Stevenson wins the hit out. It comes to Clark. He takes a tackle a bit high. Don't think he buckled at the knees or even bent into that. Joel Corey just went at him a bit high and hurt him. Clark hasn't got up yet.
Got poked in the eye, I think.
Yeah.
Drew?
Yeah, very nasty. So he can't take the kick, and nobody stands the mark. Sidebottom will take the kick. Gains about 15 metres, but it's a poor old kick. Enright takes the mark at half-back. Hand pass to Mackie. Oh, good looking bounce. Now he kicks to half forward. Podsiadly a chance. Roved in front by Motlop. Oh, he looked at hand pass behind him, and there was a little throw in there, said the umpire, and it's going to be Collingwood's free kick. Harry Taylor takes it. Harry O'Brien takes it.
Back he goes to Maxwell, spreads out the southern side, Didak and Bartel. Bartel made the spoil from behind and came up with the ball. He gives some ground to Mackie. Has a couple of runners in the middle, didn't use him immediately, and now is kicking to centre half forward where Hawkins stood in front. Pounded by Jolly, legally apparently. He made the spoil off to Pendlebury, dispossessed in the tackle. Tuvey kicked it cleverly off the outside of the boot. The spread is on for Collingwood. Didak up to half forward. Swan comes out, gathers outside the 50. Good hand pass for Solo, took on the tackle and got caught. Tried to get it back to Swan but failed. Taylor Hunt on the intercept, released to Selwood, had a bounce, kicks long, Podsiadly from behind. Taylor made the spoil. O'Brien made the spoil. I've got the same as you've got, Drew. Keith on the way out. Pendlebury tries, they all pile in. I reckon that's nearly lost underfoot. Johnson holding it up against
Jono
Footy.
pulled it in. Stevie J pulled it in. Anyway, it's going to be a ball up.
It's a good game. It's a good game. Got to the front of my seat after all.
Sorry to influence you like that. My fault. This ball comes to Stokes. Now the umpire's seen a free kick in the ruck contest, and Oren Stevenson will take the free. He's about 60 metres out from goal. Little hand pass to Selwood. He can't make the distance either. He kicks to Hawkins, who marks just inside the boundary line in the pocket.
Go there, son. I'll tell you where to go. Just go where I'm going to kick the ball. Don't worry about looting anywhere. I'll just find the hole and put it in there for you. Oh, gee, that was a good kick.
Oh, yeah. That was pinpoint. But, gee, it's an awkward spot. His heels are in the gutter. And he's only about 25, 30 metres from goal. But he goes the banana and has made a good fist of it and hit the top of the far goalpost. That was terrific. But it'll still look like he's kicked 1-3, which he has.
Sidebottom marked the kick in and delivers out to Jolly at halfback. It's Collingwood by 8 points. Jolly looking backwards and sideways. They're pretty well all covered, so it's down the line on the long kick. Dawes trying to muscle his way into the pack. He did well, but he didn't quite bring it in. For Solo underfoot, Hand pass to Swan, trundles out of there. Kick to centre half forward. Mackie made the spoil. It's all about the crumb. It got through a couple. Didak had it stolen by Mitch Duncan. Hand pass to Enright at true centre half back. He gives it to Bartell, trying to find a way through. He's put it to centre half forward for Podsy Adley on the lead. Supremely good kick from Bartell. One end of the square to the other. High ball to full forward. Hawkins trying to hold them off. It cleared the lot. Oh, that got through. It's turned at a right angle after clearing the pack. And it's a goal to Podsy Adley. His second. The margin is now 2 points. Collingwood 6-8, Geelong 6-6.
It's quite unbelievable, Chris, that it can travel that far and that two sets of players can get into position to contest it. At the last minute, two of them decided to come round and crumb what was actually going to come to the front. The ball cleared all four over the top and did is that a leg or an offie or a googly? It certainly did a doozer or something. It certainly went from left to right over a couple of metres in that last step and cleaned up the goals right through the middle. I mean, that is a team lifter. If Geelong needs something, they've just got it.
That is amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. Sinclair roves in the middle. Hand pass to Swan. Off he goes and side bottoms kick inside the 50. Chance here for Dawes with Lonigan. Lonigan gets over the ball. And now Enright on all fours. The hand pass out. But it's taken by Cloak. He kicks to the top of the goal square. Goldsack goes up for the mark. It spills to Wellingham, who's been lively. And he shrugs off some tacklers. Snaps for goal and has missed from 15 metres. He nicked the post. Gee, that's a shame. He has been a live wire. But had to kick that.
Kick in, short and sharp to Harry Taylor. He looks out to his left, uses it in the same manner for Enright. Still deep in defence. Collingwood with a pretty good zone set down the line. Enright's going to loft it into that area. Podsy Adley used his hands in the back. Stevenson, though, West took the mark and he was paid. He plays on for Geelong forward to the middle. Maxwell kept Stokes at bay to take the intercepting mark. Released it to Keefe. The sprinter's on the broadcast wing for Shaw. He marks, has a bounce. Cloak's got a lick of space, but coming back in front of him was Harry Taylor to make the spoil and get it out of play. Adam Watts.
Jared, it did look like Marty Clark had quite a nasty eye injury, but it's been assessed and he's back out there, so that's really good news for Collingwood.
At the throw-in on the 50, it comes to Sidebottom, who's wrapped up in a tackle by Bartell. That ball's not coming out, and it'll be a ball up. 3 points the margin. Collingwood up 6-9 to 6-6. 26 minutes played. Second quarter. Close to half-time. Jolly wins the hit out. Roved underneath by Blair. He's the closest to the ground. And the umpire will bounce. Played in the premiership in about his 14th game, Jared Blair. Here we go again. Give that to West. Goldsack applies a tackle. Oh, the Geelong bloke might be over this. And the umpire's going to ball it up. So we kick away, getting closer and closer to half-time. Quarter slightly won by the Cats. They trailed by 8 at quarter time. They now trail by 3. Up she goes. Jolly down to Sidebottom. He kicks towards full forward. Fasolo goes to ground. Spills out the back door. Wellingham has a touch and a fumble. And we've had about 4 ball ups in a row. Jared, see if he can clear the area.
They're just getting a little fatigued now at this stage of each quarter. You can see the sort of intensity drop away, or the ability to make good decisions.
They are packed in around it. Jolly trying to open the space. It hit a couple of boots on the way through. Steve Johnson got it. Hand pass to Corey. Hopeful kick around the broadcast wing. Motlop needs help. He works his hand pass in the Hawkins direction. He's mown down by Shaw. Umpire went for the whistle, decided not to blow it. Reed, hand passed over the top to Pendlebury. Has 2 bounces. He'll reach the 50. It's really a perimeter shot. It's a lovely kick. It's all the way. Scott Pendlebury with his 3rd. As if on the lag, played at the 3-point line. He sunk it beautifully. 7-9-51 to Geelong, 6-6-42. Adam White.
Yeah, good and bad news. Good news is the goal to Pendlebury. Bad news is that Ben Reid has just limped from the field. It looks like another leg injury to Ben Reid. We'll keep an eye on it.
Well, the smoothness of Pendlebury then, it was just beautiful to watch. When he got the ball in space like that, he had support and he had a couple of options. But what the Geelong defenders failed to do, which is he played it beautifully. He looked like he was going to kick. Each time he took a bounce, he looked up as if he was going to kick. It drew all the Geelong defenders away from him and finished truly on the run from 50.
West wins in the middle. Down to Corey, who loses his strides but gets the hand pass to Smets. A very high ball, might nearly bring rain. Out towards the wing. They contest. Shaw hits it hard. Collingwood player was held when not in possession. Free kick, advantage taken by Didak. Down the line, mark taken by Dawes. He's 60 out, but he could nearly kick it. Here's a massive kick. And he goes all the way to the behind line, and the mark is taken in defence by Josh Hunt, right on the behind line. 51-42, a 9-point lead to the Pies.
Little kick across the face of goal for Bartel. He's in the left back pocket. Chapman wants it. He'll get it 35 away from the defensive goal. It's a bit slow to turn and look up. He had Lonergan out wide, but he's going to go for Spets. And he'll slide in and drop the mark. Didak threatens to take it away. Lonergan tried to wrap him up. Ball spilt forward on a bit of a kick. Taken there by Chapman. Up to West. On to Duncan. It didn't quite reach him on the full. Had to get it back to West in a hurry. Haphazard kick to half forward. It beat Steve Johnson the first time, and the second time he knocked it straight to O'Brien, who means to have a gallop through, but he's turned it straight over. He's kicked it to Mackie. The Cats with a late chance. Mackie's called to play on. His kick's a poor one inside the 50. And Tuvey cut it off.
Gee, Steve Johnson's had a few nightmares. And there is the siren just as O'Brien marks outside the 50. A 9-point lead to Collingwood after they led by 8 at quarter time. Before any further ado, Whitey.
I didn't mean to be an alarmist before with Ben Reid, but when you see him limp to the bench with a leg injury, you fear for the worst. He looks like it's okay. I reckon he just got a kick in the lower part of the leg because they applied ice for about 45 seconds. You can see him now trotting onto the ground with his teammates to get off for half-time. So it looks like he's okay.
So at the long break, it's Collingwood 7-9-51 to Geelong 6-6-42. For Collingwood, Pendlebury has been outstanding and has kicked 3 goals, and the rest all in singles to Fasolo, Goldsack, Cloak and Swan. And for Geelong, their goals have come from Podsiadly 2, and singles for Duncan, Hawkins, Stokes and Motlop. Half-time at the MCG, big crowd in attendance, perfect night for football. Last year's grand finalists putting on a really good scrap. The Pies 7-9-51, the Cats 6-6-42.
Through the race, limping, pretty ordinary, and he's gone to the bench.
Bartel's gone to the middle. He's standing alongside Swan. Here's the bounce to get us underway for the second half. It's palmed down and comes to Beams. The Pies first into attack, deep inside the 50. And Goldsack had a chance to take a mark, but receives a hand pass from teammate. The ball goes out towards the boundary line. Leading the race is Bartel. He gathers. Hand pass into Kelly, and they're off and running. High hand pass comes over the top. It comes back to Selwood rather fortuitously. He kicks to the middle of the ground, and Stokes takes the mark on the Logos centre wing. And the kick by Stokes is going to fall short, and Tuvey gets in front to take a chest mark for Collingwood.
He delivers up the line to side bottom, off to Clark and up now to Beams. He's confronted by Chapman, so he gives some ground with his hand pass to side bottom. Gets around Stevenson with a deft move out against the boundary. High ball into the pocket. Swan was coming from very deep. Harry Taylor, though, stood his ground and did enough to be paid the mark. Had a little glance across the face of the defensive goal. Safer with the option down the line. Stevenson playing from too far back, and Maxwell was able to get there and take the mark without contest. Hand pass to Clark, onto the left boot, into the pocket, deep in that direction again. Dawes flew one-handed. Swan couldn't get hold of it. Taylor Hunt wearing him close. It's out of play. Adam White.
Gerard, I heard what Chris was saying about Joel Corey. He's doing some stretches on the bench. I reckon he's going to be okay, but he does seem to be a little bit sick and sorry for himself.
At the throw-in, Jolly palms it down. Pendlebury roves and backs into a tackle and is slam dunked into the turf. The ump will ball it up. Pendlebury started the game with a couple of goals in the first quarter and added a third one in the second quarter. Here's the bounce. Stevenson and Jolly. Ball kicked up in the air. Jolly keeps going. Goalwards. Mackie there for the Cats. He gathers. Robbed of it by Blair. He's taken to ground. Spills to Chapman, who clears the area for the Cats. Mark dropped at centre half back by Stokes. Now he's over the ball. Well, the Collingwood crowd wanted to give the free kick there, but the umpire comes in to ball it up just outside the 50. 7-9-51 to 6-6-42. Collingwood by 9.
Fewer around the stoppage this time might allow for an actual clearance. Beams gets hold of it, tumbles it into the forward pocket for Collingwood. Mackie's hand pass smothered by Dawes, who came up with it, but he missed side bottom. Lonergan turns his way out of trouble. Gave it to Chapman. Now to Josh Hunt. Needs a good kick out of half-back, and he does, as Duncan is there to mark. Two players dashing across the ground to present. Selwood got absolutely clobbered from behind by Reid. His free kick.
It didn't have to bend his knees that time.
No, he didn't. Wore that one round the year. Kicks up for Stevenson, who drifts forward. Fakes the hand pass, gets onto the right boot, kicks to full forward. It favoured Keith the whole way. And he takes the intercepting mark.
Keith, the Queenslander, who's had a terrific season, but that's not a great kick. And a half-distance pass has been chopped off by Steve Johnson. It was meant for Maxwell. Terrible kick by Keith.
Too many of those tonight, Drew. It's just been by both sides. Too many.
Johnson centres it for Chapman, who sits on side bottom and takes the mark right in front, about 35 out.
Yeah, so I reckon it's time Chappie did something. I don't think he's had a massive influence on the game. He climbed up to take that. He needs to finish it off. He's a good kick. And they desperately need this one. Had the first one gone to Collingwood, and it went very close to doing so, it might have opened it up. This is a chance to even it up.
Chapman should be kicking this. At the punt road end, not a lot of authority, and if it got there, it only just got there. And it is a goal by the skin of his teeth. Collingwood 7-9, Geelong 7-6.
Well, it did get there by the skin of his teeth, and I'm not sure the smaller bloke in the finish, the tall one, was locked on. I think it was the ruckman, but it was Shaw, was it, who in the finish had to come from behind and try and get over the top. He got a hand on it, but it had crossed the line. I thought a big man down there at the time with a bit of a run would have got a hand on that and prevented the score. I'm not sure why that structure was in place, but it has given Geelong a bit of a sniff.
Collingwood by 3 points. Stevenson and Jolly across the coloured-in circles. It favours Stevenson. He didn't make much of it. Corey got it underfoot. He'll bounce it up to half forward. Johnson tried to slap it on. Towed down by Shaw was a good play. Clark came through, gave it to Pendlebury, worked it forward to the plate of Jolly, and now up to Beams. He'll pump it up to Blair. He'll give it to Swan, and Swan can take the shot. He puts it to the square, and it is marked by Goldsack a metre out from goal.
Gee, that was good.
A link up down the fields. Goldsack running onto it and delivering the goal.
Well, I'd say here, Chris, that it started with what Gerard called a toe poke, or a toe, what do you call it, toe down, or a down toe, or a...
Towed it.
He towed it. He actually controlled the ball with his foot, running at speed, controlled it into his hand. Oh, that is a superb. We should have a look at it. I bet that'll get talked about a bit during the week, because it was a difficult ball for him to get hold of. When he did, the expectation from others was that couldn't happen, and then he got free. He was out and clear and gone, and then the delivery of the ball and the finish to Goldsack, was it? Goldsack, and the finish was a terrific finish. I mean, it's just been some super footy like that, but it's been, I guess, influenced by a lot of poor football in between.
Interspersed by a
a
lot of mistakes.
Yep.
Stevenson wins the hit out, but doesn't clear the area. Comes to Kelly. Gouges out a hand pass to Chapman, to Corey. And eventually back to Enright. He gets it to Selwood forward of the wing. He kicks to centre half forward. Punch to the front to Maxwell. He's slammed to ground. Ball spills free. Chapman bowled over. Well done by Tuvey. And that's a dead heat. 48 metres from goal. And the umpire to bounce. Umpire number 23 and the ruckman number 23, Stevenson. Stevenson is beaten by Jolly. Comes to Smets. Great tackle by Pendlebury. That ball not coming out. And that will be a ball up. 57-48. A 9-point lead. It's been a pretty popular margin all night.
There's a free kick in this, and I fancy it's a Geelong free kick. Bartell looks like he might have been pushed, or is it a ruck infringement? Stevenson will come up with it. So the marker's set 49 metres out from goal. Oren Stevenson is yet to score in his league career.
You're lucky to make the distance, I reckon, too.
Third game. How far does he kick it? From 53. He gives it all he's got. He's going to come up a couple of metres short. Gee, it nearly beat the field. It bounced into the post. I'm honestly not sure that it was touched on the way through. Into the padding it goes. Collingwood by 8.
At that age, you should know your limitations. At 29 years of age, you should know what you should be doing.
He kicked it a bit better than Chapman kicked his. Chapman was a lot closer. Side bottom, hand passes over the top and puts Blair in the clear, just behind the wing, but now he runs into trouble. Hand pass back to side bottom, and has had a good night. Down the line he goes, and Cloak marks just inside the boundary line, forward of the wing. Great Southern stand side. Collingwood going to the city end in this third quarter. Cloak with a booming kick inside the 50. Stevenson's down there to punch away for the Cats. It comes to the front, side bottom in the play again, has a little bit of a fumble under pressure. Dawes has it, taken to ground by Chapman. And that will be a ball up just about on the 50. Collingwood in attack. They lead 8-9 to 7-7, and we've played 9 minutes of the third quarter on a perfect night for football in Melbourne.
At the bounce, Jolly made good position with the body. Thomas out of the pack. It bounces up into the forward pocket for Collingwood. For Solo trying to release the hands. He dropped the ball. Duncan with a kick which didn't go far. Steve Johnson spilt it. It's to be had at ground level. Hand pass from Maxwell. Didn't get to Beams before everybody closed on him. And they'll all have a share of it as the umpire comes in to bounce.
Stevie J's had a shocker.
45 out from the Collingwood goal. Was directly in front in terms of field position. Jolly knocked it down to Chapman though, and Chapman with a clearing kick out to the southern wing. It pitches back over the head of Keefe. Podsiadly trying. He'll have to turn tackler because Pendlebury beat him to it. Pendlebury stands in the tackle for some time. He releases the ball to Selwood, who's brought down. Hand pass to Corey, who went without it. Blair to Beams.
Well played, Pendlebury.
From the stoppage. Off to Pendlebury, who had a bounce. Gave it on to Dawes. Dawes back to Beams. Almost the shot. He clears himself to kick the full forward. Going back, Mackie made the spoil, but for Solo got the crumb. And he kicked the goal. In the arm wrestle, Collingwood just did enough. A fingertip here and a nudge on there. The lead is 14 points. 9-9-63 to 7-7-49.
Well, it was a struggle to get it in, I must admit, and I felt sorry for Mackie because he was going back, got his hand, and then thought he was going to be cleaned up and sort of sensed his body for that and put the ball down because he had it under control, and that gave a clear access for the goal that resulted from it. But it was it's a struggle football. It's a struggle game. There's not too much clear clarity about ball movement, but they made the best of a difficult situation.
Pendlebury was fantastic. He was held up for a long time in the tackle by Podsiadly, but he kept in the game and was in the chain of hand passes. From the bounce, taken by Kelly for the Cats. Hand pass back to Selwood, who just bangs it on the boot, penetrates the 50, but Keefe takes the mark in defence for the Pies. Hand pass to Reid. Reid with distance. Side bottom works his man under the ball and runs onto it on centre wing. Sweeps the hand pass to Thomas. Thomas's hand pass into Swan. His hand pass on. Dawes front edge of the square. Kicks to full forward. Pendlebury waits at the back. It's rowed by Blair, who kicks the goal. Running out of room, running out towards the pocket. 2 terrific goals by Collingwood in the space of a minute. Pies 10-9-69, lead by 20. Cats 7-7-49.
Well, the last couple of goals have come from just a chain of possession from the Collingwood team, just time and time again. The first ones to get their hands on the ball, 4 to 50 particularly, has been Collingwood. Has resulted in 2. For mine on that occasion, Kelly had to get a purchase on the footy. When Sidebottom and he were actually running at the footy, Kelly was the one who came towards Sidebottom on the far wing and let the ball get over the back. Sidebottom turned onto the loose football, drove it inside 50 and a goal resulted. Kelly had to get purchase on it.
Collingwood have Geelong on the rack. It's 20 points. Corey wins it out of the middle. The Cats up to the 50. Podsy Atley slides in. He didn't complete the mark. Release the hand pass to Taylor Hunt. Off now to Bartell. He got it off to Kelly. Kick around the corner's going to float right to the goal mouth. It bounces through for a behind. Touched on the way through. And the margin is 19 points.
Well, they need the next one, and that goes without saying. I think it might break it wide open now. They might kick 4 or 5 in a row. Geelong just have to get this next goal.
O'Brien's kick in, finds Tuvey in the back pocket, and his kick short of centre wing. Punch to the front to Clark. And the hand pass goes along the line, I think just bobbled over the line, and we get a throw in.
I'm trying to see who it come from, because Selwood's been absolutely unbelievable in his pursuit of the ball. He just needs a couple of mates to help.
West works his way to the front. It was going to be a Geelong free kick. Advantage taken by Kelly, who finds Selwood. Down the line he goes, and the mark's taken by Duncan. Close to the boundary line, 50 out. A bit going on there just off the mark.
I think it's going to be Hawkins' free kick before the Duncan mark, Drew.
Yep.
Actually, it's an advantage to the Cats because Hawkins is closer to goal. He's further infield. Yeah, he was manhandled.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know what Reed's complaining about, to be honest. He pretty much dragged the Guernsey off him.
That's foolish booing because they were looking at the ball and didn't see what was happening off the ball.
Hawkins from about 40 metres. Punt road end. Oh, he's missed it by a mile. Out of bounds on the full. He has been wasteful tonight. 1 goal 3 and that one out of bounds. Now, there's a conference going on here between goal, field and boundary umpire, and they're going to go upstairs to the video to see whether that's scored or not. I think that's what they're talking about.
I haven't seen that. That's the first, isn't it, on whether it's out of bounds or a point.
Well, that kick was side on to us, but it looked like it missed by a mile. We're getting a replay from behind. Yeah, it started on line for a point and swung away late. Well, you just got to let the goal umpire call those, surely.
Well, no, but the boundary umpire called it. True, the boundary umpire was standing against the post and called
said out of bounds.
He was under the post. And
so it's out of bounds.
That's exactly right. I don't know how there can be any... I don't understand it, because he was standing under the post. It went above the post. It's not as if it hit the post. It was miles above.
Whitey?
I was going to say, if this is a behind, Heath Shaw's got a career when he finishes playing football, because he's convinced it's a behind. He wants to kick it back into play.
I mean, with the depth perception of television, there's no possibility of knowing here.
No.
I mean, you can't tell when the ball went over the post or inside the post. This is not how the technology is of any use whatsoever.
Well,
you've got to trust you, David. You're right. You've got to trust the boundary umpire.
He's standing under the post, looking up, and called it out. I mean, what's the debate? Who's getting involved? Was the goal umpire who got involved? This is know your own spot, son.
Well, originally it was called out of bounds on the full. Is it going to be a point or not? Is there a point to this?
No, this is ridiculous.
If it's a point, it's a disaster. Oh, that is a disaster. From what I can see and read here, that is wrong.
It's completely overestimating the capabilities of television.
Yeah, and ridiculous waste of the game's time.
The Magpies have brought it in quickly. O'Brien marked the kick in. He went on to side bottom and Swan, and a huge leap up at half forward. Went unrewarded for Blair. He didn't quite bring it down, but they have got field position with it. Jolly works it around with Wellingham. Out the back to side bottom and now to Swan. Offloader as he kicked it. Ball to be won at the 50. Punched away by Enright. Coming through is Josh Hunt. In tackles. Hand passed it back to Enright. Over the shoulder with the blind hand pass. Smets got his kick away. Was floored as he did so. Taylor Hunt took the mark. Hand pass to Motlop, who's hot. Goldsack came straight at him, smothered the hand pass, and it's out of bounds.
18-point lead to Collingwood. 17 minutes in the third quarter. Boundary throw in. It's won by West. He palms it down to Selwood, who's knocked over in a terrific tackle by Goldsack. It spills to Swan, who gets another kick. Up towards half forward. Knocked out of bounds by Mackie. Straight out of bounds. And, of course, the Geelong fans are saying, how about that? Deliberate. It'll be a throw in. Collingwood 10-9 lead. Geelong 7-9. Here's the throw in. Stevenson works to the front and is caught straight away by Dawes. Spills to Joel Corey. Hand pass up in the air. Bartell gets there and fumbles it to his advantage. Gets the kick in, but it's chopped off by Shaw at halfback. Kick by Shaw, back to half forward. A pack gathers. Well, the only man in the pack eventually was Mackie, who took the mark and hit the ground running. He kicks to a Stevie J at centre half forward. He can't mark, but he gets the ball. He bumbles it towards goal. It's offline. And, ladies and gentlemen, that is out of bounds.
Send it upstairs.
That's a point. That's a point. That's a point. It was at least a metre from the post.
Throw in right forward pocket for the Cats. It's a shallow throw in. Reed spikes it away out toward the boundary where side bottom is perched for it. Hand passed out in front of Beams. He's got Chapman for company. He'll find the boundary and they can reset.
Sorry, I'll get this line back on the game again.
Collingwood by 18 points. At the throw in. Steve Johnson trying to get through. Kicked it off the ground. Virtually across the 50. And it favours the Pies with the runners. Swan gets there, doubles back. Hand pass to Shaw over the top. He has a prolonged look down the line. He kicks it in the Goldsack direction. It came up well short of the contest though, and Lonergan was able to drift in front, take the mark. He'll give some grounds. Mackie out to Steve Johnson, working at the back edge of the centre square. The numbers are on the broadcast side. Johnson's been called to play on. He pulls his kick particularly wide. Selwood arrives to reach up over the top of Fasolo. Hard way to get it to the wing. Down the line with his kick. Taylor Hunt was the link. Guthrie came to the bench as Taylor Hunt fashioned the handball it to him.
Oh, that would have been funny. That would have made the night.
Off to Selwood, up to Josh Hunt. It's laborious, but Hunt stepped his way out of trouble and used it sideways to Taylor Hunt. Hand pass to Steve Johnson, can take a shot from the 50. High ball to the teeth of goal. Chapman lunges at it. It gets away from him and through for a behind. The margin is 17 points.
Adam White.
Drew, there was about 2 or 3 Geelong players that were spraying Steve Johnson, then going the torpedo punt and not kicking short.
Oh, that was an absolute shocker. Remember the grand final? He was on one leg and kicked 4 glorious goals. Tonight, supposedly, he's fit and hasn't looked like kicking a goal. Didak has it centre wing. Goes a short pass down to half forward and the mark taken by Cloak. Too far out to score. Open forward line. Goldsack there. Slings his man to ground. Too early. And he's given away the free. Bartell to take the free kick for the Cats. Gee, they need the next score. They trail by 17. He's gone the short pass, and Selwood is marked near the back pocket, and under pressure has kicked it out on the full. Joel Selwood, that is most unlike him.
Well, he's screaming at Motlop. Motlop had to run towards him, wanted the ball over the back. He was never going to be able to kick that.
Free kick to O'Brien, all the way back to full forward. It pitches on the turf. Palmed down by Goldsack. Cloak burst through the pack. Underground kick taken by Taylor Hunt for the Cats. A high ball just anywhere. Out of there. Lands on its point and bounces back towards goal. It's tapped down to Beams. Beams snaps but doesn't give it enough. And the mark in the goal square has been taken by Selwood. He goes straight up the ground.
It was a dicey kick. It wasn't intercepted initially. Fasolo and Steve Johnson were both brave, and Johnson rose with it. Hand pass to Stokes, off to Bartel, back to Stokes. Forward it goes now to Podsiadly. Had a bounce, reached the 50, kept it low, skids it across the face, and through from behind. They whittle the margin back to 16 points with 4 consecutive behinds.
He might have kicked one out of bounds down there, Selwood, when Motlop didn't come. What an unbelievable captain's, portion of the game there to get them back up and going. He's been phenomenal tonight, Selwood.
Fasolo doesn't look too good, Whitey.
Drew, it looks like he's just got a stinger on the shoulder. He's trying to sort of loosen his arm to get it loose, but he's come to the bench.
Oh, Keith from half-back just sails it straight over the boundary line at the wing. The Cats on the rebound. Johnson in 20 metres of space. Number 20 goes long. Motlop is there with O'Brien, and Harry gets up higher and punches to the boundary line. Good defence by Harry O'Brien. But Steve Johnson, he had more time and space, and he is just not the same man as he was on grand final day last year.
He is willing himself into it though. Forward pocket, throw in for the Cats. Stevenson swipes it to the back, but it's all Collingwood there. Tuvey with a hand pass to Pendlebury and Sinclair, and back to Pendlebury. Kick into the middle, marked by Swan. Now it's all on the race forward. Pendlebury's on his bike. Goldsack's deeper. Swan goes for Goldsack. He's in front of Lonergan. Lonergan reached over, made the spoil. Taylor Hunt gathers for the Cats. Hand pass to Duncan. Kick out the half-back for Taylor. Taylor takes pause. He's been called to play on. Gets himself into a slight bit of bother. Kicks around the wing though. Chapman takes the mark. Mackey's on in the middle of the ground. Chapman's kick is no good. Duncan will get there first. He needs help. He probably threw that to West, who's in a tackle. Shoveled it forward only as far as Beams. Swan and Wellingham combined for the Pies.
Sharrod Wellingham at centre half-back. Out into open space at centre wing. Good contest. Fasolo's recovered. Bowled over by Smets. Good tackle by Billy Smets. Oh, it's high, said the umpire. Free kick for Solo. Good one-on-one contest. Smets partly smothers the ball on the mark. Oh, Daisy Thomas ran into a traffic jam and was knocked to the ground unmercifully.
Oh, gee. One got him and the other one straightened him up into the other one. He's bounced back up. That's great courage.
Oh, he's got up. He's got his hands on his thighs trying to recover. Swan gathers his kick into the pack. Slews away to the Cat skipper Selwood. Hand pass to Chapman. He's lacking confidence, Chappie. Goes to ground, but he gets his hand pass away. It's taken down the line. But they've turned it over again. There have been plenty of turnovers in this game, and Reid has taken the mark at half-back for Collingwood.
Reid is looking a long way across the face of goal. He's done it well for Shaw. Shaw wants to open up the southern side for Sinclair, who's on the long run to half-back. He'll turn and look to play on. He's got Didak short. That's where he goes. Didak decided to punch it on, trying to get it up to Goldsack, who wore one right in the chops from James Kelly.
He had to die a natural death before the umpire gave him the free kick.
Yes.
Oh, it was a touch on the front of the jumper, wasn't it? Oh, I think that was an act.
No, that's right across the bridge of the
nose. In the chops. Oh. Hand pass for side bottom, kicked up into the forward pocket. It's off hands. Blair took the tackle, dropped the footy. Sinclair had it picked off by Guthrie, cruising through. He takes on Harry O'Brien. Gets it onto the right boot, but kicks to no man's land. And side bottom is able to be protected into the drop.
Terrific game, side bottom. 28 possessions before three-quarter time. They bring the ball across the half-back line. Reid out towards the broadcast wing, and Maxwell takes the mark. 25 and a half minutes played third quarter. Collingwood 10-9 lead Geelong 7-11. The margin 16 points in favour of the Pies. Kicked by Maxwell, a high ball towards half forward. Sure, Jolly goes up. Juggles but can't complete the mark. The Cats have it. Stevie Johnson is lifting himself. Gets the hand pass away to Stokes in midfield. Stevie wants it back. Kicked by Stokes to half forward. Podsiadly might have been pushed in the back. Lost sight of it for a moment, but regathers. Hand pass to Johnson, who kicks the ball backwards into the centre square, and James Kelly takes the mark. Short pass to Hunt. In space. He can kick it a mile, but he decides to go short. Good decision. Selwood marks. Selwood goes for goal and he misses. You put him down for the goal every time.
They've kicked 5 consecutive behinds. The margin is 15 points. Side bottom marks the kick in. Bounces through the defensive 50. Uses it short for Didak. Just delayed with the initial move and went wide with the kick for Dawes. Wellingham was always in the play, dinking down the line. Hand pass to side bottom, who stayed in the play on the left boot. He kicks for Goldsack. Hand pass to Didak from the boundary. You'd give him every hope. He takes the shot and Bartel is goalkeeping. He's right on the last line, taking the mark as is his wants.
And Stokes working back in defence, marks at half back. Johnson outnumbered 2-1 centre wing. Unrealistic jump at it. He's given away the free. Free kick taken by Marty Clark. All the way back to full forward. Jolly is there. Geelong hands to the ball, but roved underneath by Fasolo, who goes for the banana kick. Gee, it's a bit leery. And it's a behind.
And
2 goals, 2 to Fasolo.
What do we see? The big ruck when Jolly's saying, son, there's the centre. Put it out there.
Yes.
16-point ball game. Guthrie on the kick in. Hand passed over the top to Taylor Hunt and back to Guthrie. Long with the kick eventually. Corey had to go back with the flight and couldn't mark. Wellingham on the tidy up. Hand pass to Shaw. Gives it off to Maxwell. Tried for Wellingham. It was just behind him and he didn't quite pull it in. Wellingham ploughs on at ground level. He releases it well for Shaw. High ball inside the 50. Swan trundling up at it. It pitched in front of him and bounced over the top of him. Taylor Hunt took the tackle of Blair. He's playing for the boundary. He released the ball in the tackle somewhere and got a reprieve at least with a bounce.
Adam White.
Have a look at this, boys. Steve Johnson went off the ground for about 5 seconds limping. He's come back on and he's lurking in the forward line. No Collingwood player within about 100 metres. If the Cats get a clean break.
Yep. He'll still have time to muck it up the way he's going. Row by Swan, who snaps for goal and bangs it into the post. Gee, that was good play by Swan. He looks nothing. He's got those stocky legs, but he's quick. So behind, 10-11, 71 to 7-12, 54. A 17-point lead here to the Pies. Chapman from midfield kicks it to Steve Johnson. Not quite 100 metres in the clear, but he takes the mark on Tuvey. He goes long to Podsiadly. Oh, but a good punch away by Reid, who came from nowhere. Well done, Ben Reid. Forcing the boundary throw in. 29 minutes played, third quarter.
Left forward pocket for the Cats. Thrown in. Jolly worked it down to the front. Stokes is onto it. Hand pass didn't quite find Johnson. Tripped over. Beams gets it. Hand pass near Buckley, who's come on as the sub. He didn't do much with it. Neither could Stringer. Both subs involved in the play. Chapman sideways to Josh Hunt. Up to the 50 for Bartel. And he can take the deliberate shot at goal after the three-quarter time siren. No, he won't. He kicks it sideways. And it's Josh Hunt's ball at true centre-half forward after the siren.
He can get this distance.
He'd still rather Bartel had it on what we know as a clutch kicker. He wasn't to know, and there was no message coming his way.
Angle better, but distance about the same, Jared?
A bit further out.
A little bit further out. Bartel.
I reckon Bartel was closer in.
Okay.
Josh Hunt will cover the distance, but in terms of accuracy of kick, they all crowd in around him. It's like he's walking through an honour guard to take the shot at goal.
Hope he doesn't do the left foot swing and he calls play on.
Josh Hunt gives it everything from 55 metres out. It was touched on the way through and it comes up short. No score. Collingwood by 17 points at the final change. 10-11, 71 to Geelong 7-12, 54. So the lead grew from 9 points to 17 in that term. Geelong 1-6 against Collingwood's 3-2. The goal kickers for the Pies, 3 for Pendlebury, 2 for Fasolo and Goldsack, with singles to Blair, Cloak and Swan. For Geelong, 2 to Podsiadly, 1 each to Duncan, Hawkins, Stokes, Motlop and Chapman. The final change, it's Collingwood by 17 points.
Such a big tail at the bottom end. They've got to lift up and have a go if they're going to match the Collingwood desperation.
It's Collingwood by 17 points. Start of the final term of Friday night footy. Up it goes in the middle. Jolly paddles it wide of the pack, but Kelly is onto it and he sends the Cats forward only as far as Tuvey though, who tidies up in defence with the intercepting mark, and he goes to release Swan. Propelled himself at it, didn't quite pull it in. Hand pass forward of the play though for Dawes. Gives it off to Sinclair. Kicked a half forward. It's cut off by Josh Hunt. He uses it up to West, who stumbles as he goes to play on it. Now he needs to get rid of it desperately. Hand passes out the side for Lonergan. Kick down the line. Podsiadly up into it. Couldn't quite take the mark. Shaw hand passed against the boundary. It trickled the wrong way on him and over.
It might have been between Podsy's legs, actually. Throw in centre wing. Jolly wins and gets after it. Buckley for Collingwood, not Nathan, but Simon. The sub is on and the ball's out of play, and we'll get a throw in. 71 plays 54. Pies led by 8 at quarter time, 9 at half time, and 17 at 3/4 time. And at the throw in, it's won by West. Comes down to Corey, who's pulled off the ball. Buckley's in fighting hard for the ball, and Pendlebury, who looks as though he's operating under some duress, but he loses it to Selwood, off to Stokes. Here come the Cats inside the 50, but Duncan went to ground. Stokes has a chance. Nearly lays the tackle. The ball comes to Sidebottom, who's had a night out. Up to Harry O'Brien. Sweeps the hand pass to Goldsack. Centre wing. He spins out of a would-be tackle beautifully. And the kick to half forward, and the mark's taken by Dawes about 49 metres out from goal. Collingwood kicked 3 goals to 1 in the third quarter to just extend their lead out to 17 points, assisted by 5 successive behinds by the Cats. But if they get the first goal of this last quarter, they'll be pretty hard to run down. Dawes, not that far off centre, kicking towards the punt road end. Plenty of height. He's got the distance as well, and the accuracy. Great goal.
Well, we talked about the big blokes, didn't we? We talked about Dawes and Folk and probably Podsiadly. And at the other end, Podsiadly and Hawkins, and there is no doubt now, I think possession-wise, conversion-wise, now contested mark-wise, that the Collingwood 2 blokes are starting to stand up and deliver. I think we'll talk about the midfield afterward. We think the game would be probably won or lost. Contested possessions just been rising up until Geelong got that segment that you talked about, but Collingwood are still significantly in front in that area too. So marking forwards, contested possession, Collingwood's favour, so's the scoreboard.
This is the biggest lead of the night at 23 points for Collingwood. Jolly down to Pendlebury, didn't quite gather it. Blair did. Hand pass to Beams, kicked to half forward. Enright knocked it down but didn't collect. Sinclair did. Hand pass to Sidebottom, up to the 50 for Collingwood. Cloak! Hit it hard, jumped the pack. Pulls it down, and from outside 50 could take the long range shot at a closer.
There's the other half of the partnership.
He'll give it everything he's got. Wide out on the right. Cloak sends it goalward. It's got a good line about it. It didn't quite have the legs. And at the last, it's touched through for a behind. 4 goals neats the Collingwood lead.
Well, until that goal by Dawes, I was reminded of the round 2 game when Geelong beat Hawthorn. And at 3/4 time in that game, the Hawks led by 18. Tonight, Pies led by 17. And in that game, the Cats came over the top and won by 2 points. But gee whiz, Collingwood have got the first goal of the last quarter. A free kick to the Cats just behind the wing. Taken quickly by Taylor, but he's given it up, and the mark to Reid of Collingwood. Goes across the half-back line and finds Shaw. 4.5 minutes played in the last quarter. Shaw goes further back to full-back to Keith. Kicks it out towards the great southern stand half-back flank, where the mark's taken by Sidebottom. He has played a game tonight. Up to O'Brien. Sidebottom, 33 possessions. And he comes up for another one. Oh, no, this is Marty Clark. Clark towards centre wing. Wellingham in front. Good hands. Terrific mark under pressure from Enright. Fires out the hand pass. Here's side bottom again. He kicks to half forward. Cloak pushes, takes the mark, gets away with Blue Murder and quickly goes for goal and hooks it out of bounds on the full.
You called it, was Blue Murder.
Well, Daisy Thomas was in the pocket.
Oh,
best part of 30 metres clear. Just didn't see him in front of him.
Dawes was on as well. Lonergan charged with the task at the restarts. From against the behind post. He gets under a high ball outside the 50. Spoils were made and it came underfoot. Pendlebury shoveled it forward. Cut off by Enright, but he fumbled it back into the pack. Buckley had an air swing at it. Towed out by Pendlebury. Wide of the pack. Wellingham gets hold of it off to side bottom. Low ball into the pocket. It beat Cloak. Stringer gets there for the Cats. He's dragged off his kick and it floats near goal. Kelly to Mackie. Quick hands required. Chapman away from the danger for Lonergan. There was a free kick in that to Chapman. And they won't worry about the advantage.
He nearly got it taken off him. He went over and cracked Daisy. He'd already got the free kick, left the ball behind, went over and cracked Daisy in front of the umpire.
Through one.
Just stupid.
Kick by Chappie up towards the centre of the ground. Podsiadly from behind. Throw by Buckley. It comes to Shaw. I think he nearly kicked it to himself about 15 metres. He follows up and he does get it again. But it's dispossessed in the tackle, front edge of the square. Cats working hard to stay in this game. Stokes the hand pass out. Comes to Stevenson. The big Buckman does a 360 and kicks up towards half forward. Ball's knocked on by Tomahawk. Gets rid of O'Brien. He hasn't got it. Play on. Bartell gathers. Kicks to the goal square. Duncan runs onto it and kicks the goal. His second. Not sure there wasn't a free kick back here in midfield, but that does keep the Cats close enough. Collingwood 11, 12-78. Geelong 8, 12-60.
Well, it needed someone with a cool head to be able to actually gather the ball in traffic. And plenty of Geelong players were across the half-forward line, putting their head over it, trying to get possession. No one could get possession. And that man, Jimmy Bartell, put his head over it, looked up. He could have actually handballed short, but he's got such great peripheral vision. He looked up and there was Duncan running into an open goal. It was a great decision and it put him in to an easy running shot.
Collingwood by 3 goals. 7.5 minutes played of the final term here on Grandstand AFL. Bounced back in the middle. Stevenson got his hands to it. Bartell, his kick was smothered. It ricocheted the wrong way. Fasolo hacked it off the ground. It goes further out the southern wing. Wellingham leads the race. Enright goes with him. Enright tackles Wellingham, who releases the ball to Blair. Knocked off his kick, which will land up near the 50. Cloak pushes Mackie. He's pushing everyone who comes near him at the Cloak. He was penalised this time, and a 50-metre penalty to boot.
On abuse, was it? Because he got away with the previous one, and that was just as blatant. The umpire picked it up, and he's obviously got, because the umpire didn't freak in the first time, he's gobbed him for the second one.
Mackie goes deep inside the 50, poor kick, and Reid, who's having a really good night in defence, gets back to take the mark.
Brave, very brave.
Whitey, is Swan in trouble? Is he off the ground?
I'm not sure about Swan from where I can see. I know Scott Pendlebury's just had more attention to that calf injury. He's taken the strapping off. He's about to come back on. I'll have a look for Swan.
I fancy Swanee's off the ground, and if you can't see him, he might have even gone down below. Pendlebury gathers at centre wing just off the bench. Gets the hand pass to Sinclair. He kicks towards the 50. Cloak caught behind, and Taylor takes the mark.
Just in regards to Swan, he certainly went off the ground clutching his hamstring. Whether it was actually a knock, but he certainly went off holding it.
I suspect he might be done. Here come the Cats down the corridor, and West takes the mark at centre half forward. He dodges and weaves. He gets it away. It's taken by Hunt. Fires out the hand pass wide. The hand pass comes into Hawkins, who goes for goal and has kicked it at the city end. The Cats still alive. Hawkins gets his second. That's 2 in a row for the Cats.
Well, you saw it coming, Chris. I'll bow my judgment to yours. You sensed and smelt it during the third quarter. I couldn't see it, I must admit. I thought Collingwood were home and hosed. Just out of sheer will, I reckon it's coming. And some good football on the end of it, but they just haven't given in. The Cat supporters would be pretty proud. They'll want them to get up from here if they get the run on, but I think even in defeat, they would think this group has come, given what it has to come. They've got some old heads that aren't playing quite as well as they used to, and so young blokes haven't come up, but they're having a red-hot go.
10 minutes into the final term, it's Collingwood by 2 goals. Dawes is in the ruck against Stevenson, who wins the tap to Chapman. He overran it. It's still to be won, and it bobbles through a few. Pack forms, Bartell's underneath it. Had it stolen by Beams, who rankles a kick up to half forward. Mackie went to ground against Goldsack. The next pack forms.
Oh, he
the
can't
umpire into bounce.
Can't believe he didn't get free. You can call that as bias, but that was a free kick to Mackie as well. Trouble is, he's looking to the umpire off the ball. Why didn't he see it and pay it? You just can't get your head into that space.
It's 50 from the Collingwood goal. West knocked it sideways, but Blair was onto it to Wellingham. Kicks around the 50. He wanted Thomas. Enright gets a hand in there to use it with Bartell. And now to Enright. Short with the kick. Johnson takes the mark.
50.
Just into the protected zone. Drifted maybe Wellingham or side bottom. Maybe both.
Jono.
He plays the game and umpires.
Hey, come have a look at this bloke here. Free kicker. Yeah, you're right, Jono. I'll give you one.
So Johnson has brought 60 out from goal.
He's doing it again.
He is unbelievable.
And Johnson's going to give it everything he's got from half forward and see if he can get it home. He's gone for the barrel. It drifts out into the pocket. Duncan had a play at it. He couldn't quite pull it in. It's still to be won. Shaw gets caught by Hawkins. High. Free kick to Collingwood.
I don't think Duncan will like having a look at that again.
No.
He should have taken that one.
The kick goes back to Keefe in the defensive goal square. Cats have kicked the last 2 goals since Swan has been off the ground, and they trail by 2 goals. It's looking eerily similar to that Hawthorn game. Maxwell marks at halfback. He puts it out in open space as centre wing. Pendlebury runs onto it. No problems with his calf now. A glorious kick to full forward, and Cloak marks. Oh, Scott Pendlebury. What a dream player. Well, will this seal it? Probably too early to, but 12 and a half minutes into the last quarter.
How did Cloak get freed up from... He's got a swarmer, hasn't he? He's got Hunt or somebody on the mark.
Yeah, Taylor's on the bench.
Taylor's on the bench. Bad time to have Taylor on the bench.
Cloak for just his second goal. Rams at home. Back out to a 3-goal lead. 13-12 to 9-12. 12-12 to 9-12.
Well, Londigan and Mackie were out there. I just don't see how Cloak could get on his own like that and ended up having Josh Hunt, I think, as his opponent. He was never going to be on.
Adam White.
Now, Drew, the physio has emerged from the tunnel. There is a medical room underneath the benches where players can get assessed. The physio's come out, but Swan hasn't. So Collingwood's still working with 2 rotations on the bench only.
I'd say he's done and dusted for the night.
Collingwood by 18 points. Just beyond the 13-minute mark of the final term. Jolly and West. Jolly the tap, but straight down to Corey. The Cats go back inside the 50. A bouncing ball beautifully gathered by Reid, who's exercising all his demons. A perfect kick out to the southern wing for Shaw. He's been called to play on. Has Sinclair 20 metres further afield. Hand pass to Pendlebury going by. Changes direction. Kicks to full forward. Guthrie and Goldsack. Free kick, Guthrie. Advantage is paid. Mackie kicks into the middle. Hawkins had a stumble but still rose to mark. Podsy Adley's 30 further afield. He marks. Too far out to score. He drags his kick inside the 50. Springer took the contact. He was offloaded. Hand pass to Bartell. Kicks around the body. A behind. Collingwood by 17.
That was the margin at 3/4 time. We've used up 14 and a half minutes to get back here. Crowd posted at 75,650. Last year's grand finalists in action. The kick in outside the 50, where it's taken by Hunt. Short pass, no mark. Crumbs gathered by Keefe. Mark to Enright in midfield. Squares the ball into Stringer, who kicks towards full forward. Punch to the front. And Collingwood get out of it. Hand pass to Blair, but his hand pass goes to Hawkins. His hand pass up to Stokes, who's tackled high, and a free kick to Stokes. 45 metres from goal against Nick Maxwell.
Poor old Stokes, he had it given to him. He didn't want it, wasn't in the best position. As soon as he got it, he was absolutely swallowed. And certainly correct decision. High, without a duck or anything else, it was high.
So Matthew Stokes kicking from just about 50 metres out at the City end. Margin currently 17. The kick's good. Perfect. His second goal. And still a chance for the Cats. As it's 12-12-84 to 10-13-73. Adam White.
Now, Drew, just at the moment, Collingwood is down to one rotation on the bench because Ben Reid is the latest player to go down the tunnel with the physio. Now, he couldn't tell what it was, but if his body language is any indication, it didn't look good.
Well, I don't know what's down in that area down there, but no one comes out of it. It's like the black hole. Swan and now Reid. They'll have no one on the field by the end of the game. But, gee, I tell you, it's 11 points. They haven't done a lot right over the course of this game, Geelong. Collingwood should be well in front, 11 points behind.
Bounce was outside the circles, allowed to go on. Stevenson to Selwood, kick to full forward. They all wrestle. It clears the first line. West, it's still rolling goalward. Oh, it's touched into the post by Maxwell, who threw himself at it. Not for the first time, a ball that just went on and on and on and threatened. It's Collingwood by 10.
Shaw dangerously kicks up the ground. He was looking for Marty Clark, but it was knocked away by Hawkins, who gave the hand pass away. And Joel Corey had a shot for goal from in front and 30 metres out, and he missed it.
Gee, you can feel the energy here.
Yes.
The energy of the Geelong and their supporters is rising. A lot of nervous Collingwood supporters.
Shaw looking for a safe option on the kick in. He decides he's the best one, has a bounce and boots it well outside the 50. Jolly's his target. Stevenson makes the spoil. Pies have the numbers at the crumb though. Maxwell to side bottom, who lost it. Chapman works it around to Stokes inside the 50. West drifts into the hole and takes the mark, 35 from goal.
Oh,
they're under siege, the Pies, aren't they?
They are under siege, and it is significant. If you can't access 2 or 3 players at this stage, finding the legs to do the job if the opposition are in reasonable shape there makes it significantly more difficult. So to get a roll, get this one, and the momentum goes with them. They've got to score. This is the kind of shot which they've missed during the night that will put them in good position.
Trent West hasn't kicked a goal yet this season. From 40 out directly in front, he still hasn't kicked a goal this season. The Cats string up consecutive behinds again. They're down by 8.
Gee, haven't they had some misses? Early in the game it was Hawkins and Podsiadly. They've had a few chances late in the game. Shaw kicks in just outside the 50. Big leap by Thomas. He brings it down to the front. Taken by Tuvey. Kicks towards centre wing. Fasolo gets a hand of the ball. But at the back, taken away by Enright. It kicks towards half forward for the Cats. A spoil by Thomas, close to the line. Gathered by Kelly. His hand pass underground. Again Thomas. Kicks to centre wing. Might have been in the back to doors. No whistle on the play. Fasolo gathers. Hand pass away to Goldsack. Further afield to Jolly. He kicks inside the 50. Side bottoms the one. But a punch by Hunt. Josh Hunt in defence for the Cats. Then the ball was at ground level. He took a week to pick it up. Finds Taylor, who delivers well off the left. And Stokes marks just behind the wing. 84-76. An 8-point lead to Collingwood. 19 minutes played last quarter.
Stokes is going to chip it backwards to Josh Hunt. Just fewer than 7 minutes to play. Across half back to Lonergan. Hand pass out to Motlop, who's got some space in which to work. He has a bounce. Delivers beyond halfway. Stringer made some good space for him. He bounces and plays on. kicked in the Hawkins direction, put it behind him. Hawkins knocked it, trying to get it past Tuvey. He failed. Tuvey gathered it well to Jolly and Shaw, and he finds Wellingham on the way out. Hand pass over the top to Pendlebury. Works it on now to Blair. Backward he'll go to Wellingham. Short ball for Buckley. Paid as a mark. Out on the broadcast wing. Buckley's going to turn and give some grounds. The lead is 8 points to Thomas. Across half back for Harry O'Brien. He's got Bartell for company. He won't get out immediately in that direction. Tuvey, though, has made a good break for him. O'Brien instead uses a short hand pass to Buckley. They tried to get it back. Intercepted by Stokes. Inside the 50. Over the top of Podsiadly. And the moment passes with Collingwood having numbers.
Stokes had to do better with his kick. Keefe works the ball across. Thomas out of defence. And he finds Pendlebury at half-back flank. What a silky smooth game Pendlebury has played. Does the old 1-2 with Wellingham. A high ball towards centre wing. Marty Clark in front, claims a mark, not paid. Comes to Jolly. It's taken off his boot by Chapman. Chapman's hand pass up. Keefe has it for Collingwood. Pendlebury has it once again. Just strolling through them. Hand pass in trouble. Oh, Blair's met front on. Ball comes Geelong's way. Oh, kick by Mackey's partly smothered. It's inside the centre square. Good tackle laid by Corey. And that's a stoppage inside the square. And at the 21 and a half minute mark, we have a ball up with the Pies leading by 8. Whitey.
Now, Ben Reid has come back to the bench, but he doesn't look like he's part of any rotations, boys.
At the bounce, West won the tap. Taylor Hunt gets through the pack. Hand pass to Chapman. Steve Johnson's on over the top. The kick goes out in front of him. It bounces to Stevie J from the pocket. He takes the swinging shot. Hawkins, It bounced off his chest. Clark got caught with it. Shaw comes away with it. Hand pass to Keefe. Outside the 50. Thomas went the unrealistic jump. Pushing the back. Geelong with the advantage. Chapman up to the 50. No mark. Taylor Hunt back to Johnson. Kick up to full forward. They cannot find a target. They are peppering away. Collingwood holding up. Goldsack will get it 50 from goal.
No, he won't. Spall's put on him. It comes to Bartell. His hand pass doesn't hit a target 30 metres from goal. Maxwell's in there for Collingwood. Goldsack to Jolly. Out wide it comes to Shaw. Taking it out of defence, Buckley the sub. He kicks long to centre wing. For Solo the only chance. It comes to the front to Mackie. He finds Taylor. They're off and running again, the Cats. On the run now, Guthrie, who kicks to half forward. Selwood takes the mark and wanted to go on, but decides to come back and take his kick.
Took a couple of steps. I would have called play on.
Nearly 23 minutes played. 8 points the lead for Collingwood. Cats coming hard. Collingwood playing 2 men down. The kick towards the forward pocket. Plenty of Cats there. Oh, Hawkins' hand pass over the top, floated, was knocked to the boundary line and is out of bounds alongside the behind post. They're going to the Collingwood Social Club end, City end in this quarter, the Cats. But can they find a target?
Collingwood by 8 at the throw in deep forward. Johnson snapped out of the pack. It's a behind. It's 7 points. Virtually the last 10 minutes have been played inside Geelong's half.
Yes. Drop marks and missed kicks.
Just chance after chance with nothing lethal at the end of it. Clark marked the kick in. He's gone for beams. Chapman the spoil. Corey the crumb. Feeds it to Chapman. 50 from goal. Set sail for home. It's long. It's strong. It's touched on the line. A goal to difference at the 24-minute mark.
I thought Chappie might redeem himself. He hasn't had a great night, but he thought he put that one away. It might have set the place alight. 5
behinds in a row again, just as happened in the third term.
4 goals, 12 in the second half, Geelong.
Yeah.
4 goals, 12.
That was more worth a replay than the one we had earlier on. Pendlebury has it for the Pies. Kick short of the wings. Punch to the front to Corey. Hand pass to Chapman. He hoists it high towards full forward. There's no mark. Rovers needed. Pendlebury there again for Collingwood. He kicks it out of bounds on the full. Thomas tried to keep it in, but it is going to be a Cats free kick to be taken by Mackie in between wing and half forward. Great Southern stand side. There is time left.
Mackey's claiming that our number 13 from Collingwood,
Thomas,
threw it over the fence and threw it away. 50 metres, he's saying. He threw that away. And I think he might have too.
36 players in one half of the ground. Mackey takes the free kick for the Cats. Long to full forward. Jolly in front, can't take the mark. Oh, he was held, says the umpire. Free kick to Joel.
Couple of minutes to play. Jolly happy to take all the time in the world. The umpire happy to let him. Now he calls play on. Long kick on the way out. Plenty in the pack. No marks. Sinclair's hand pass partially smothered. Ball came the way of Selwood. Kicked it in a hurry. Jolly made the spoil. It's all about the crumb. Harry Taylor got hold of it. He roosted it to full forward. Collingwood with the numbers. Stokes with the ball. The score's a level. The water on the dam finally broke through. It's 84 apiece with 100 seconds left to play.
Well, and look, it was an enormous effort. I can't think who it was with Collingwood who ran back in. It was the bravest act. Shaw was the bravest act to get in there and spill it out. They all could see it was a brave act. And Stokes was the only one sort of left out of the contest sitting there. He just grabbed, spun and put it away. There was desperate effort by Collingwood to put it, but we might get a draw in a game that was the last thing in the world I would have predicted.
Well, I was wanting to compare it to Geelong and Hawthorn earlier in the season. Now it's looking a little bit like Manchester City and QPR. They've done all the attacking in the last quarter, the Cats, and finally they've got level, and if they do a Manchester City, they'll get another one and win the game.
Poor old Matt Stevic, in the very magic moment of the game, he put it up on an angle. He won't sleep for a week.
So he throws it up after the first bounce went astray. Pendlebury throws himself at the ball, but he can't force it in there. Selwood gouges it out. He gets it to Enright, who kicks to centre half forward. Shaw puts on a good spoil. It comes to Clark. He kicks out to the broadcast wing. Simon Buckley leads the race for the Pies. He gets there first. Hand pass to Sinclair. Short pass is not bad to half forward. Fasolo takes the mark and wanted to play. Oh, it's 50. 50 against Josh Hunt. And it might decide the game.
Did Josh think that he got a hand on it? Did he touch it?
I think he thought he played on.
I'm sure he thought he played on, and I'm sure he did too.
No, it's technical, 50 metre. But it was there, unfortunately. Geelong supporters would be devastated.
And they've done enough to be worthy winners.
Fasolo is now only 20 metres out and kicks the goal. They lead by that with a minute to play.
Yeah, look, this game has ebbed and flowed, as you've suggested, and they created enough in this from about halfway through the third quarter when you were starting to sniff a bit of an uprising from the Cats. They've peppered and got it in there and just been very, very brave in their ability to fight back and to create the opportunities. They'd be very disappointed that on as you called it, a technicality that an easy goal was given at the finish. But they'll lose nothing tonight, the Cats, because they haven't played great footy, but they've been extremely competitive and up and at it for most of the night.
It's not over. There's a minute to play in this game. Collingwood by a goal. Ball to be won in the middle from the bounce. Pendlebury got hold of it. The kick didn't go anywhere. Side bottom came from the wing. Hand pass forward to the play, and that's where the Pies are. Blair to Pendlebury. The kick to full forward. It might go the journey. It does! Pendlebury with his fourth. He makes it safe now. They have defied the numbers in the final term. Swan out of the game. Reid out of the game. It's as brave as you could ask at the end. 14-12-96 to Geelong 11-18-84.
Well, they've flipped the game on its head, really, in the last minute of the game to kick the two goals. And you called Manchester City perhaps being the Geelong Well, unfortunately for Geelong supporters, it's the black and white.
What a finish. How good has Pendlebury been in the last quarter? Injured at 3/4 time, receiving treatment. He's finished the game like a train. Side bottom loses it in the middle. Selwood for the Cats. All the way to full forward. Is there another goal in it? Chapman is there. He backs out of the pack but comes out without the ball. Now he's over it. And the umpire will bounce. Seconds remaining in the game. And it's 2 goals the margin to the Pies. They've turned it around and beaten the Cats at last. The bounce, won by West. Clogged up again. The umpire will be forced to bounce one more. Collingwood will get their 6th win of the season. And Geelong, in all sorts of trouble, will be 4-4. From the pack. Kicked out of there by the Cats. Kelly in game 200 marks 45 metres from goal. And his kick for goal will be after the siren. He leans back, spirals a torpedo. He knew it wasn't going to make any difference, and he didn't make the distance. And the margin is 12 points. The Pies have won. Final scores: Collingwood 14-12-96 have defeated Geelong 11-18-84 in front of 75,650. They led at every change, the Pies, by 8, by 9, by 17. They were challenged in the last quarter and they won by 12. After half time, the Cats kicked 5 goals, 12. Night at the football. It's hard to believe, but tomorrow at the MCG might be even bigger when we have the Dreamtime game between Essendon and Richmond. What a night. A 12-point win to Collingwood. They were never headed at any stage, but they were threatened at the end, and the scores were level with a couple of minutes to go.
The scores were level on 5 occasions throughout the night. The Cats retreat from view, and the Magpies will stay and savour this after losing those 2 key players, Swan and Reid, in the final term. They looked like they were going to get run over, and with tremendous resolve they have pulled out the win. How are we going here? David Parkin, give us your thoughts before we hit the room.
I'm a bit exhausted, Jared, to be truthful, because I didn't see it coming as Chris did. He had a great feel for what was to finally eventuate. No doubt that the rack of rotations, the injuries started to really hurt Collingwood because they couldn't get into their front half. I don't know how long it was, Chris, but it was about 12 or 14 minutes that the ball didn't really venture past the middle of the ground into Collingwood's front half. Got to give look, how good player is Pendlebury? At the start, when they needed someone to take the initiative, he kicked a big goal down on the left down here. It might have been a left footer. Went through on the angle down here to get them started. And then when they got into problems at the finish, he kicked 4 for the night. But the first one and the last one were absolute gems, which enabled them to steady under the... And they were in the eye of the storm. There was no doubt about it. Geelong got a sniff and they kept coming. And players that hadn't contributed greatly started to lift themselves up. Got to the point where... I know where they should have won. I think the team, this could be argued, I think the team that played best football for longer, the more convincing football to me, was in fact Collingwood. But there is no doubt about the resilience of the Geelong players. I'm not sure what the headlines are going to be, but I think the headlines, halfway through the third quarter before they get a run on might have been, we told you so and they are gone, etc. But anybody who was to underestimate the quality of this team in terms of the individual's ability to lift and get the best out of themselves and each other when it's most required. I dips my lid to Geelong. I really do, because I didn't think that they got to the point where they'd convinced themselves, if you like, at half-time. I thought they'd be in there thinking, well, it just ain't happening for us. But it was, I don't know, from your point of view, it was the first game of a round that has promised to deliver. And I must admit, over the years, every time we get to a round like that, it buckets out the wrong way. So if this is any indication of what this round will bring in the next 2 days, I can't wait to get there. I think I'm going to get to every game I can live because the atmosphere of part of it is just super.
Collingwood 14-12-96 to Geelong 11-18-84. The Pies hit the rooms. Our news radio audience will depart, I'm sure, during the song.
They're coming in slowly. They're exhausted. Even the coach is just mentally exhausted after that one. Here they go. There's the song, boys, and I tell you what, that noise at ground level in the last 2 minutes, that bettered Anzac Day.
Granny, your thoughts?
Just an absorbing contest. It was different almost for most quarters. The first, second, third and fourth all had different moments in the game that changed it in all different angles. And there was some superb performances over the course of the night too. I think for the Collingwood team, Sidebottom was outstanding. I think Pendlebury, the fact that he did come on after what we thought was some type of calf injury, it must be more like a knock to the calf if he did come back on, because if there was any concern about a strain, Pendlebury would not have come back onto the ground. He was outstanding. He kicked the 4 goals, but he just had a hand in so much of their good play. And Dane Beams, his consistency now running through the middle of the ground, he's just added something different to the Collingwood midfield. He has really come of age as a midfielder throughout the competition over the first 8 weeks of this season. And Joel Selwood, the skipper's game, he dragged them towards victory. They didn't get there, but he did drag them that way. He's had 36 possessions and 20 contested possessions, 11 inside 50s. And probably the only other player that really stands out in mind as far as turning the tide back perhaps the Geelong way was Stephen Johnson's last 10 minutes in the third quarter. I thought it was significant because they needed someone post or forward of the centre to actually really spark them, really give them something, not necessarily to kick the goals, but to look like that he was going to be able to set it up. And I thought Stephen Johnson's 10 minutes in that third quarter really did give them the impetus at three-quarter time. A great contest. It was everything we wanted. Were there skill errors? Yes. But their effort for both teams was of the highest order. It was just a fantastic contest. We walk away from a Friday night game with just 2 champion teams, and there's no doubt at all that the Geelong supporters will drive home to Geelong or in Melbourne, wherever you might be going to, and just the value for money that you get from your team, it is just outstanding. Collingwood, well, they're doing things differently, but it's starting to work. There's no doubt that there's avenues and things within the Collingwood outfit that are really starting to actually play their part. They turn now at 6 and 2 at round 8, and it's certainly a good start considering the amount of focus that they had on their football club in the first month of the season.
It's only in September where you see 2 teams as spent as they were at the finish. But the moment of the final siren, because there was so much hanging on the last 4 or 5 minutes of play, no one was allowed any respite, and one team couldn't rotate. The other were doing their best to just lift another inch, and they got better and better and better at Geelong. I admire them enormously because I couldn't see in 2.5 quarters that they had enough good players going, that they were convincing in their ball movement, that they were confident about their capacity to grab a ball, and that's probably what cost them the finish. Podsiadly and Hawkins weren't able to grab some big moments. When you think of that mark that Hawkins got clean up at the finish and it bounced straight off his chest back into play, that sort of thing happened too often, and whilst I don't think the other two were great, Cloak and Dawes as a partnership would have got a lot more of the ball and made a lot more damage for the entries that they were able to get hold of. So, yeah, a bit to learn out of this. I think Geelong will be licking their wounds. They got Western Bulldogs, I think. They've got Western Bulldogs and then a bit of respite with GWS, and then have Carlton before the bye. So it hasn't been an easy road for them, and it's not getting all that much easier. And I've got a couple of oldies, I think. Chappie got back into the game a bit, but he wasn't contributing in his normal fashion in the first half. Hunt the same. Josh Hunt down the back. Josh doesn't look like he's playing with the same confidence and freedom. So I've got a few that are at the top end that just aren't playing with the vitality and confidence and effect that they have over a long period of time. And that's what happens with teams like that. I lined up the midfield in the finish when we chose, you and I, we chose the 8 blokes who are going to play through the midfield. And in terms of just straight out disposals, and that's unfair really because it doesn't talk about quality, etc. But in the finish, the 8 top Geelong blokes had 178, and the top 8 Collingwood blokes had 192. Not great, but I think a little significant difference in the engine room that we thought might be the difference. Well, that little stat there might say that is an indication of the control that Collingwood had for longer than Geelong.
I think perhaps one of the real key points of the second half, Geelong's kicked 5 goals, 12. That's 19 scoring shots in the second half. And that really started, I guess, halfway through that third quarter. 5 goals, 12. So they've given themselves every opportunity. I think they've gone inside 50, best part of 60 times compared to 50. So incredible second half.
Collingwood by 12 points into the winners' rooms with Adam White.
Thank you, Jared. I've got Alex Fasolo here, and I was just saying to Alex before he came on air that he was almost the one that kicked the winning goal. You sort of did. You sort of are the man.
Everyone tuned out once Pendle's kicked his, hadn't they?
Absolutely. The game was done and dusted.
No, it was good. Good to just finally get over the line, and obviously Geelong came home as we knew they would, but it was credit to all the boys to really just hold strong and get over the line.
Take us through that last couple of minutes. You've taken the mark, the scores are level, out on the half-forward flank, and you've taken them up, but Josh Hunt's come in late. Did you know immediately that it was going to be 50?
Well, I knew Josh Hunt grabbed me, and I kind of milked it for all it was worth, so look, I don't know, I hope it was there, but and then obviously 50-metre penalty, and all the boys got around me, and I was packing my DAC, so I went back and slotted it and gave it a fist and calmed the mags.
80,000 people. The noise was deafening to kick a goal like that. It is what dreams are made of. Was that something that you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, I think it's every kid's dream, isn't it? But look, it would have been nice if we were down by 5 points, the sign had gone, and then I'd slotted it. That would have been a little bit better. But no, it was great to be out there and happy to have a win. So yeah.
And just one more from me. It's an important win to not so much from last year, but even just to get the win now and get a bit of momentum rolling. Yeah,
it's great to get the 4 points. I mean, at the same time, we like to think, oh, look, we're moving forward. We didn't think about the past, but look, we're aware that they beat us 3 times last year, and it was great to kind of just, put that to bed and have a win and tell everyone, stick it up them.
The man with ice in his veins has got the headphones on, boys. Up to you.
Alex, David Parkin. With the finish, it looked like the end of the grand final. The players looked absolutely and totally spent. Was it a game that demanded physically as much as you've played in?
Absolutely. I've been lucky enough to play in a few games against Geelong, and they're all pretty taxing, but that was the closest one that I've played in, and I know I was absolutely wrecked, and I'm sure all the boys are. So, but no, it was absolutely terrific to get up in the end.
Have you realised that the rotations were down because you couldn't access players? I mean, you're aware of that, and you're told that you've got to stay on a bit longer. What happens in that sort of situation?
To be honest, I'm actually quite oblivious to what's going on. I kind of hit the bench, and everyone's yelling at me, get back on, get off, and get back on. But I could kind of tell that I was, especially in the last quarter, I was off and on a lot. So there was something going on, but I'm not quite sure what.
And your vertical leap, Alex, has that been a natural athlete for you for your life? I mean, the capacity that you have as medium tall player to be able to go up. You were a high jumper as a kid, or a long jumper, or a hop, step and jumper, or something?
Did a bit of hopscotch back in primary school, but no, I wasn't. Yeah, I guess it's an attribute that I'm lucky to have, and it does help because I'm not the fastest bloke out there, but it's good to have a leap. So yeah, it's great.
Alex, Chris Grant here. There was an enormous amount of focus on your football club in the first couple of weeks of the season. I guess that was always going to be the case with the changeover between Nick and Nathan. But you're now round 8 and you're 6-2. So in a lot of ways, your season's just starting to get going, isn't it?
It's very funny how the media work. We lose to Hawthorn, then we get pumped by Carlton, and everyone's all over us, and all of a sudden we win 4 straight, and everyone's pretty quiet. So, but look, it's a credit to all the boys. We really bounced back. We kept all that exterior talk kind of outside the club, and we just went on with our business, and it's starting to pay dividends.
Do you sense that with the opportunity of obviously players who have been out of the team getting the opportunity, Dale Thomas came back into the team tonight, Jolly came back into the team, you will actually start to muster some of those players back into the team. So therefore the wins at the moment are incredibly important.
Absolutely. I mean, it's great to know that it probably, like in terms of our list, probably wasn't our best 22 that was out there. We obviously got Nathan Brown still on the sidelines, Chris Tarrant still on the sidelines, and the thought that we're only going to get better. It's great. We don't want to peak too early, and it's all about playing your best footy in September.
And you're surrounded by premiership players. It's a little bit of a tick you need to give yourself.
It's obviously I'm playing with a lot of players who have a great record, and there's a Brownlow medalist there, and a couple of best and fairest, and a heap of premiership players. So it makes my job a lot easier when I'm playing with a bunch of superstars. But
you don't look overawed. The youngster, teenager from East Freo, you've settled in pretty well.
Look, it's obviously a great bunch of fellas, and if I ever was overawed, I got a fair few blokes to pull my head in, so it's there's no danger of that. But no, I'm really enjoying it. It's a great club to be at the moment.
Be hard not to enjoy tonight. You got another one, David? Or are you done?
No, I'm not.
Alex?
Well, I've got one more. Were you aware that Pendles was in a bit of trouble at three-quarter time? He had ice on his calf, and he got some treatment, but boy, the way he ran the game out, you wouldn't know it.
Had absolutely no idea. But there you go, boys. Yeah. Fair to say he played an okay last quarter, so I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah, handy.
Good on you, Alex. Well done.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Alex Fasolo with us in the Collingwood rooms. The Pies 14-12, 96 by 12 points over the Cats, 11-18, 84. And that scoreline doesn't quite tell of the drama, though, at the end of the game.
He's a very, very confident young man, isn't he? He
very confident.
Knows where he's about and what he's doing. Yeah,
not fazed by going on radio around the country.
No, but it's that's the driver, isn't it? It's a bloke who doesn't believe like that, who's got the assets but can't use them. But he's got both, belief and the assets.
So the talking point will be about the 50-metre penalty, which we've just heard Alex Fasolo say he milked for all he's worth. But the umpire, if you play to the whistle, the umpire hadn't called play on, and thus you're not entitled to tackle believing a player has played on.
It's a hard rule for a player to play to, but there's one thing you must keep in your mind as a player. You do not grab that player at any stage until the whistle goes or you hear play on. From my perspective, incredibly drama-filled and incredibly hard on the Geelong players to get to that point, but really the only person that can be blamed for that is, unfortunately, Josh Hunt. I mean, that is the rule. It's been that rule for a long, long time, and the drama should be taken out of it. It was a 50-metre penalty any day or any night of AFL footy. It's incredibly it's tough.
No, it is tough because if a player makes a movement and he turned rapidly and almost took half a step into the player on the mark, so for the player on the mark, he would have sensed that this was a movement prior to taking off or moving forward. Your natural instinct, isn't it? And your natural instinct as a defender, for me, it was, he's got to stop that. Can't let him play on. So whatever the call was, it is technical, but it's absolutely right in the letter of the law.
But, gee, for Josh Hunt's sake, I'm glad Pendlebury kicked the extra goal, because otherwise the whole thing would have been decided on that 50-metre penalty.
Yeah.
Do we think that Geelong was what did you say, 4-12 or something?
5 goals, 12 second half.
5 goals, 12 in the second half. Are we saying that they really kicked themselves out of the game, that they did enough in the finish? Would you be convinced if Geelong had got home by a point or a single goal tonight that they in fact really deserved that?
Well, if you looked at the statistical analysis for the whole 4 quarters, you'd look at the fact that, one, Collingwood finished on top of the scoreboard. Also, a couple of the important numbers, contested footy, amount of ball that they actually had. But there's a thing called emotion in football too. And most of the time, you look at the stat sheet and you think, well, hang on, they've done a lot right, but they've lost the game of football. And clearly tonight, when the key moments arose in the second half, Geelong actually won them. And for mine, that's very, very telling. Now, I don't know what this will do to Geelong. Will it actually now derail their year? Or will it actually be an impetus for the rest of the year? I don't know whether they'll be so tired in effort and emotion after this game that they'll actually recover. Only time will tell. But what they did do in the second half, when the game was there to be won, their last 10 minutes of the game, they probably should have kicked 6 or 7. That's the opportunities that they had. They were so good. It wasn't that they were very good. They were dominant. That ball did not come out of that forward half in the last 10 minutes of the game, other than when Fazzola got the 50 and Pendlebury kicked that running goal straight after. So from that perspective, the total dominance from the Geelong team in that last 10 minutes was a very telling factor for their psyche.
They've had those 2 runs of 5 consecutive behinds in both the third and the final term. And actually, it was the field position of them scoring the goal that, as the only time Collingwood looked likely to get it out, was when the ball came back to the middle and they won both centre clearances and kicked 2 goals.
And if you look at the actual scoring shots, you see 5 goals, 12. But how many times did they kick in the last 3 to 4 minutes of the game when they had total dominance, when the ball just kept getting thrust time and time again back into the Collingwood defensive 50? They actually missed targets as well. So you add all of those factors into the last 10 minutes of the game. It was a totally dominant performance by the Geelong team. But if you look at the whole 4-quarter performance, yes, you're right, up until that point in time, Collingwood were doing enough to win.
Chris, I was really asking the question because I wasn't too sure. And I was sort of willing Geelong because I guess for everybody's sake, when you've got the old hand up there and they've been publicly, not so much humiliated, but publicly asked the question whether they still have the capacity. They answered the question that I didn't win the game, but they answered the question that everybody who wasn't Geelong or was Geelong was wanting to know, is this team done in terms of its capacity? And you're asking the question now, well, was this the last effort? Is this going to affect them even more, that they did get to the point where they could have won the game but didn't? That disappointment. What we're going to do, what happens after the rest of the weekend, this will be the most disappointed team in the competition will be Geelong, who were on their knees, got back, got to level the scores, and you're right, Gerard, the 2 opportunities that Collingwood had came directly from centre bounces. Whilst the ball remained for long periods of time in Geelong's score without actually scoring or getting right out to the centre bounce, coming back out in points, etc. It never looked like going into Collingwood's half. So they've done a remarkable job for the team that would have been confident enough to say, we got them, we actually got them, but they didn't have them. And they'll be relieved, Collingwood, very pleased to get the 4 points and relieved. I'll be terribly disappointed if it's a downhill slide from Geelong now, because I reckon they've recovered a poise in the game where they deservedly could have just said, well, we've given it our best shot. We just can't keep coming like this. And I was very proud of a bunch of blokes I don't have anything to do with, don't know anything about. I thought that's super. And that's not taking anything away from the Collingwood Football Club, but they were terrific.
But prior to the game, you said Collingwood were younger than Geelong and they're on the way up. Will we have to put up with all talk about Collingwood being premiership chances now? Does it swing the balance that much in their favour? Because it's been such an even season. One minute it's Essendon, next minute it's Carlton, next minute it's West Coast, next minute it's Collingwood.
Without interrupting Chris, and Chris will have a go after me, we didn't see the premiership team here tonight in either clubs, to be quite truthful. When they were fit and healthy and going, we saw a myriad of mistakes which has been covered up or glossed over, I think, at the finish by the close to the scores and the gut-wrenching stuff that we saw happen. I don't think we should get conned. That would be my view from sitting back here, that either of these teams, they might make finals. I doubt whether they can make top 4. And I certainly don't think either can win the premiership.
I don't think Collingwood can win it just structurally. They've just got too many important players missing from the team. They're going to miss significant chunks of the year. Tarrant will come back in at some stage, but he's still not there. And I think Luke Ball's influence, we touched on that throughout the course of the year, the fact that he's missing. Those types of players are just all... Nathan Brown, that's of course another one for the next few weeks. Cracker, the finishing touch up forward. We talked about Leon Davis missing. They need to actually find someone who can genuinely run off half back to do that. They actually, even as good as they'll probably get over the course of the year, because they'll get some of those back, they're still going to miss that real key structure, a premiership structure to actually win the flag. But what they will do is, Fazolo's playing more, those types of players more, Keith will play more down back. They will get to at the end of the year being probably a reasonable team. I don't think they can win the flag, but I think they'll be a reasonable team come the end of the year.
So they mightn't have the personnel with those who are missing that you mentioned, but they might have the structure. How's Bucks going in his first year as coach?
I think it's probably too short a time to do, but just the way he's handled himself publicly, his preparation, I know, the planning and preparation from him, his work ethic, I think his relationship that we've seen pretty positively with his players and the way they've reacted to him, etc. I've seen a couple of training sessions. I love their setup. All their stuff is so, not so much practical, but it's applied to game situations, etc. It's game sense based, if you like. It's really thoroughly process-oriented and organised. And I go around and have a look at a number of clubs, and most of them are pretty good that way, but they've lost nothing in terms of their disciplines and organisation and execution. I think they'll be okay in time. I really do think, Drew, that this is a team in the making. I don't think there's any doubt that it is building to something significant. I just don't think it can build quickly enough in 2012 unless a lot of other teams fell over in terms of personnel available. I don't think Collingwood, given the best that they can produce now, and some of the opposition I know who have more talent and who are just a bit further down the track, I doubt whether they could knock them over in September. I might be proven wrong.
Let's find out about their injuries tonight, because Swan and Reid toppled over in the last quarter, and Adam White has just been sussing out what happened. Whitey?
Thanks, Jared. I'm in the Geelong room, so I've got to be a little bit quiet. Hang on, bear with me here, guys. I've just got to get into a better spot.
Whistling?
Okay, that's better. Sorry about that.
Headsets on your
Yeah, exactly right. I was having to turn it up before because the Collingwood rooms were so loud. In here, it's completely the opposite. I can report that Dane Swan has done a hamstring, as we thought it might have been the case. He was, barely sighted at all after the game. Ben Reid looks like he's redone his quad, which is terrible luck for Ben Reid considering all the frustrations he's had pretty much since before last year's grand final. Now, Scott Pendlebury, he was limping quite badly on his calf. He did the media afterwards. He was in the song. He was hobbling around, not significantly, but enough to suggest that there's a bit of an issue there. So that's the three pretty important players. So you would think that Swan's going to miss at least 2, possibly 3. Ben Reid, because it's an aggravation of an injury that could be maybe even a little bit longer than that, and Pendlebury might be wait and see. I'm in the Geelong rooms at the moment. The boys are doing the recovery right in front of me, and it's Josh Hunt that's the concern, with some ice behind the back of the right knee, which I spoke about during the course of the game. So that's the injury news down here. We won't get a Geelong player, I wouldn't have thought, in time as they do the recovery, but I'll stick down here just in case.
Adam White down in the rooms.
That does derail them in the short term significantly. I mean, Swan and Reid. Concern for Reid. Swan, I can't remember him doing a soft tissue injury, so I don't know what the history is there. But Ben Reid's a concern. It's obviously something failing within whether it's a back or something to do with the hips, but there's something failing him. If he's continuing to do quads like that, there's something not quite right. And the problem is, and Whitey touched on it, every time you do an injury like that that's soft tissue, you add another couple of weeks each time you do it to try and get it right the next time. So that's a significant concern, because they've got Nathan Brown out of the team for at least a month. Yeah,
a young man who the scar tissue, and it does build up over time, and it means that the injury becomes significantly worse each time, and therefore it takes significantly longer to overcome it. And for a young bloke like him who's just starting his career, very, very difficult situation I reckon he faces. A bit like Rioli with his hamstrings.
Yep.
Got to protect them and look after them and nurse them, and not easy to do in a game that demands so much.
Righto, we're against the clock here. Drew, the final numbers.
You know what we haven't given goal kickers.
Okay.
There was so much going on at the final siren. Pendlebury kicked 4, including the winner right at the end, one in the last quarter. Absolutely sensational. Fasolo, we spoke to him, he kicked 3 goals, 2. Goldsack kicked a couple. Cloak kicked 2. And singles for Swan before he was injured. Blair and Dawes. And the goal kickers for Geelong, Duncan kicked 2, Stokes kicked 3, Duncan 2, Hawkins 2, Podsiadly 2, and singles for Motlop and Chapman. I reckon that covers it. Now, some of the figures. The total disposals were 398 to 369, so a margin of 29 in favour of the Pies. The contested possessions, 158 to 148, again in favour of Collingwood. The tackles went the Cats' way by a margin of 13. The marks went Geelong's way by a margin of 10. The clearances were 37 to 36, slightly favour Geelong. The inside 50s were 61 to 51 in favour of the Cats. They bombarded them late in the game but couldn't get the score on the board. And the free kicks finished up 18 to 14 in favour of the Cats. Side bottom, 38 possessions. Shaw 30, Pendlebury 30, 28 for Beams, 27 for Swan, all in the first 3 quarters, nothing in the last. Wellingham 20, Thomas 18, Clark 17. For Geelong, Selwood outstanding with 36 possessions, 20 of them contested, 6 clearances, 7 marks, 5 tackles. Kelly in game 200 had 26 disposals with 11 contested, and he laid 9 tackles. Enright 25, Corey and Chapman 24, Steve Johnson 23, and Mackie 22.
Be selective with the best players, not the better players, the best players.
You want the best players? I gave 1 to Pendlebury because I thought he started it and finished it and did a fair bit in between, but his 4 goals with the first and the fourth one so critical. Gave 2 to Side Bottom, who has become a prolific getter and user of the ball. And Joe Selwood, I just got mesmerised by him. From start to finish, he did everything an individual could possibly do in the game to get them up, and they weren't able. I gave Joe Selwood 3.
Joel Selwood 3, Side Bottom 2, and Scott Pendlebury 1. Chris, so you haven't wasted your efforts. Just run us through the rest of the Paco did that actually quite nimbly.
You must have noticed that.
You put the pressure on him.
I did. I went too hard on you.
Handballed straight to him. I think outside of the votes, I think for the losers, I thought Stephen Johnson's second half, probably from about the last 10 minutes of the third quarter into the last quarter, he really did lift them. Enright across half back. I thought Harry Taylor was very manful in his role on Cloak. He threatened at times, but he didn't really get away from him. For the winners, Swan's first half, probably first 3 quarters was very good. I think Dane Beams, we mentioned him before, his ability now to go into the midfield and consistently perform at a really high level has been a real win for Nathan Buckley. And of course, you mentioned Pendlebury and Side Bottom. Thought he's sure across half back was good too.
Chris Grant and David Parkin on Grandstand AFL tonight. 3 to Selwood, 2 to Side Bottom, 1 to Pendlebury. Collingwood by 12 points over the Cats, 14-12 to 11-18. If things go well tomorrow and the arrangements hold, Chris Scott will be our guest after midday with you, me and Balmy, Granty. So that'll be the lineup for the Geelong coach if things go to plan. 75,650 in to see it. A Friday night that promised plenty and delivered even more.
Plenty still in the car park when we get down there.
There will be, indeed, on a game that goes right to the wire. The highlight of tomorrow's footy probably comes tomorrow night when there'll be even more than 75,000 for Dreamtime at the G when Essendon plays Richmond. This is a fair chunk of what happened late at the G tonight.
Centre wing. He spins out of a would-be tackle beautifully. And the kick is half forward and the mark taken by Dawes about 49 metres out from goal. Plenty of height. He's got the distance as well. And the accuracy. Great goal. Tomahawk. Gets rid of O'Brien. He hasn't got it. Play on. Bartel gathers. Kicks to the goal square. Duncan runs onto it and kicks the goal. West takes a mark at centre half forward. He dodges and weaves. He gets it away. It's taken by Hunt. Fires out the hand pass wide. Hand pass comes into Hawkins, who goes for goal and has kicked it at the city end. The Cats still alive. Maxwell marks at halfback. He puts it out in open space at centre wing. Pendlebury runs onto it. No problems with his calf now. A glorious kick to full forward, and Cloak marks. Cloak for just his second goal. Rams at home. And Collingwood get out of it. Hand pass to Blair, but his hand pass goes to Hawkins. His hand pass up to Stokes, who's tackled high, and a free kick to Stokes. 45 metres from goal against Nick Maxwell. Margin currently 17. The kick's good. Perfect. His second goal. And still a chance for the Cats.
Ball came the way of Selwood. Kicked it in a hurry. Jolly made the spoil. It's all about the crumb. Harry Taylor got hold of it. He roosted it to full forward. Collingwood with the numbers. Stokes with the ball. The score's a level. The water on the dam finally broke through.
He gets there first. Hand pass to Sinclair. Short pass is not bad to half forward. Fasolo takes the mark and wanted to play. Oh, it's 50. 50 against Josh Hunt. And it might decide the game. Fasolo is now only 20 metres out and kicks the goal.
Hand pass forward to the play, and that's where the Pies are. Blair to Pendlebury. The kick to full forward. It might go the journey. It does! Pendlebury with his fourth. He makes it safe now.
From the pack. Kicked out of there by the Cats. Kelly in game 200 marks 45 metres from goal. And his kick for goal will be after the siren. He leans back, spirals a torpedo. He knew it wasn't going to make any difference, and he didn't make the distance. And the margin is 12 points. The Pies have won.